Okay, guys, I am back. It's Kyle once again, aka Vulcan Wolverine. So I ran I ran the virus program, but it didn't show any viruses because I think our attackers come in through a back door, or they just there's a protocol where they can just shoot radio frequency. They can basically wireless energy into the computer. They can hack your computer from the actual circuit board in your computer. Um, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of wait for some people to kind of get back in here. And I'm kind of done with the ramblings a little bit so we can get to the information. My attacker's just blanking me out. But I've got some important information to go through. I do want to tell people there's not a whole lot of people in here, so I'll wait another second, guys. I ate some lasagna. I got a little glass of wine, kind of calm my nerves a little bit. Should be good, but I'm going to try and go through the important information first, just in case my attackers do freeze up the program, kind of kick me out of there again. And welcome back, everybody. What I do want to say first is I'm planning on, like, I've turned that other channel. Hey, Arachnonica says, hey, you're back. Yeah, I got some food, a little glass of wine, and I had to, like, my air conditioner, like, he switched this little switch on it, so whenever the water rises, because it was leaking in the pan, whenever the water rises, it'll lift this switch up, and it stops the motor on the air conditioner. So I had to get one of those Altera whole house plugs and, like, shove it in there because the water's, like, still rising. It won't drain. And I had to get it and, like, put it against the switch so my motor will run on my air conditioner. So I finally got it to work again. So hopefully I'll be cooling down a little bit. The attacks are way worse when it's hot. Like, when your body heats up, the remote neural manipulation is so much worse, and the external hits are worse too. So, and hey Tanya, hey again, hey Mischievous Sim. Mischievous Sim says, hey everyone. Okay, and thanks for stopping by. Just come back and watch some of this information I'm putting out. I'm probably gonna have to put out some of it. And hey Donna, I'm probably gonna have to put some of it out on some individual videos. Okay, video and audio are good. Cool. All right, awesome. And hey, Nicholas again. Let's hope it stays that way for a while. I want to make an announcement. I'm going to be doing, like, on this channel, I'm going to do 5 parts of. I've turned my second channel into something called VW Comics 47, and so I'm going to be reading comic books and doing, like, kind of weird voices and stuff like that. Something kind of fun, which it isn't controversial, and maybe I can grow that channel. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll suck, but I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to put it on here and the other channel, so you guys be looking out for that. I thought it'd be something fun because we're talking about, asymmetrical warfare to the whole world all the time in our targeting. So I was thinking I could kind of do a little bit of an outlet, fun outlet. And it's going to be, y'all will see the comic books that I read. Comic books, mostly from my youth. Maybe I'll read some new stuff, and I'm going to try and make it fun. I'm not sure about the copyright issues. It could be completely against copyright, and they just take all those videos down. But we're going to find out about that. And a lot of the comic books I'm going to take from my youth that kind of, like, when I think about this targeting, I look back and I think about those series of comic books and stuff like y'all see what I'm talking about when I do the first one. It's going to be fun though. Yeah, Mischievous M says, gotta have comic relief from time to time. Don't ever let those energy vampires take the fun out of life. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough right now for me, Mischievous M. Things are pretty dark. So Ann says, what's the second channel? It's called this. It was Vulcan Wolverine 2, but it's going to be called this. I already have it up, but I don't have anything on there. It's this. And some of you guys, it's not going to be any kind of controversial topics. I probably won't talk about like targeting or anything when I'm doing it, but I'm going to kind of be hamming it up and, hamming it up and doing weird voices and stuff like that. Just trying it out. I got to get the creative juices flowing. We got to have some type of fun, So I thought it'd be fun. I'm just going to try it, I also think I'm going to do a YouTube channel for my dog, Pepper. So maybe if I can get like not controversial stuff, get ad revenue for that, maybe build the channel. Maybe it might not hit, right? But maybe build up ad revenue for the channel. Then I can use it on activism. Then I can use it for us, for this channel and things that we want to get done. Yeah, Ann says sounds cool. Plus, it'll be a backup. Yeah, I hope I don't get censored. I don't think I will. I think I'm too small. Like it's a good channel, and I have a lot of subscribers, and I'm happy about that. But I see them like taking down people with, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Let's watch this. Let's watch this because they did take down Dan Dix. And he really helped us out. Like, I don't know if he was a targeted individual. I kind of suspected that he was, but he's a Canadian who is filming a lot of the conservative rallies, talking about targeting, talking about how I think his last video was that Canada is trying to push with something called the CRP. It's trying to push a universal income. So what they're trying to do, like in most of our countries, in some countries it's going to happen faster than other countries. They're trying to destroy the countries and destroy the middle class, destroy people's businesses, and try and get everybody on a universal income so that we're all trapped in our homes. We're all in some kind of like social security type thing. That's my friend from Canada. I've been talking to him about the stuff SHP is doing. Like he'll call me and then I'll call him back. And then I started getting this AT&T message. Me and my mom got it, and it said you're over the $100 limit for international calls, and then it said you're over the $200 limit for international calls. So I've got to answer when he calls now. Apparently, when I answer calls from Canada, I'm getting charged an arm and a leg, which it wasn't like that before. Like it wasn't like that. When I talked to him, I'd call him back. And I wasn't charged at all. Yeah, hey, I agree with that. 4X Amberjacks. YouTube's days are numbered. Like people are getting censored. They plan this. They're using the CV pandemic. They're using they're using Black Lives Matters. They're using like the race stuff to censor people, to get them off. They're using these things to move along with agendas of silencing voices of logic. Silencing voices of logic and truth, right? That's why I think that's why my attackers go so hard on me, because I'm getting crushed by the energy weapons, I'm getting heated up, cooked, everything like that. But I tend to be like, ever since I was little, and I actually learned this from my Uncle Daryl. Learned it from a lot of my family members, but he was very precocious. We just talk about stuff. If something's happening, we talk about it, even if it's weird. Life is bizarre. And so I think my attackers don't really like that, because I think we sound really crazy a lot. People try a lot of different angles of talking about this stuff. Sometimes you just got to be precocious. The world is so bizarre and insane, and getting more so all the time. I think people understand that. So I don't think they like that. They don't like how I just talk about it. Hey, Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty says, hey, everyone, miss you all. Kisses and hugs. I saw your comment on High Impact Blogs. I left a comment on there too. I'm going to play his video. He did an awesome video about how social distancing may be used, and I think this too. I think he's saying that it might be used to actually targeting geo-positioning people's hearts. It's not the right way to say it, but basically like not targeting their hearts where they're going to kill people. They do that to us. They do that to a lot of people, but they're getting everybody to social distance so they can track people's hearts. That's the word I was looking for. I think that it's, tracking people's biosignature, their brainwave signature, their DNA, not just their heart. But he made a good video about like all the kind of the new surveillance technologies coming out. We're gonna watch that. We're gonna watch that, guys. So, and check Mischievous M's channel out. He's putting out a lot of good stuff. He's like, you know, doing a lot of cleansing methods and a lot of SHP's, you know, protocols. He's finding some really good stuff. My thing is that I just want to make sure that we're looking like we can explain it to people and we can prove that it's good evidence, you know. So I'm still working on that stuff. It's working. It's working, guys. It's not freezing up yet. Let's knock on wood. Knocking on wood here. So let's watch this first. I just want to. He's a really good guy. He tells the truth. Please check him out. I think he went to. I know he's on BitChute, so we should look for Press for Truth on BitChute and try and support him. Try and support him. I think he has a GoFundMe, other ways to fund him. He's like a real truth teller. I kind of wanted to show this real quick. It's horrifying. It's horrifying how so many people are just getting shuffled off of YouTube. It's like, you know, sometimes like getting on here, I'm like, well, it doesn't even matter anymore because my channel's probably going to go down soon. Like everybody who tells the truth about anything is probably going to go down. What can I do? What's the most controversial? I mean, I think that targeting is controversial, but like, what's the most controversial information I can show about this? Because I don't care anymore. You know.
Wow, and another crushing blow to the independent press. YouTube has completely deleted the channel called Press for Truth, ran by Dan Diggs' organization of the same name, Press for Truth. And let's see what he says here. 1 hour ago, my life's work, 14 years, 5 documentary films, over 270,000.
14 years. Like a lot of people are getting censored off of YouTube. I know Stefan Molyneux, it was like 10 years or something like that. And I mean, he built like such a following. I think Press for Truth had like 200,000, 300,000 subscribers. Some of the best. I showed a lot of his videos on my channel, like the patents for directed energy weapons and a lot of those things on my channel. Tanya says, who is he, Kyle? Press for Truth, he's in Canada, and he's an activist. I mean, I kind of think he was a targeted individual because of his work. Hey, Slack. But he went over everything. I mean, he went over, like, GMOs. He went over, like, kind of Marxist-type protests. He went over, like, all the really bad things that Canada is doing, especially, but a lot of the things America is doing. A lot of secret programs, a lot of experimentation, torture, things like that. Basically anything that the mainstream media would not touch. He did awesome videos in a very professional manner. I mean, I watched like every one of his videos, but he did a really good job. And it's like this precedent where people like him, he's very logical. He doesn't like use any kind of slurs. Like he's not, well, I don't use slurs, but like I cuss a lot. I'm not careful about my words, right? I say like terrorism. Sometimes I'll slip and say false flag, stuff like that. Let's go through all the words that YouTube will take my channel down for. But like he's very careful about it, right? He's logical. He talks about it in such a way where he's careful, like High Impact Vlogs does. Stefan Molyneux would talk about things very logically. And it's for this reason. I think it's for this reason why they got kicked off. Because they didn't look crazy. Because they made a lot of sense. You know?
Subscribers, over 35 million.
270,000 subscribers.
No warning, no email, nothing. Please message.
Let's support him, guys, on BitChute. Let's go to BitChute and look up Press for Truth.
First they came for the journalists, and if you don't know that quote, I actually heard it for the first time from Dan Diggs. First they came for the journalists, and then we don't know what happened. So independent press is very important. I'm going to put his BitChute link in the description below. And
that's kind of like how I think about our situation. Like, we're targeted, right? We're targeted. Our brains getting messed with. Our families are getting messed with. We're getting gang stalked. We're getting effed over. Like my body can barely function because of how hard it is. And everybody says that's mental illness. Blah blah blah. That doesn't have anything to do concerning me. And now everybody's feeling the heat around the world. Like, humanity is feeling the heat. It's going to get worse and worse. You guys think about it logically, right? It's going to get worse and worse. I think that what they're going to throw at us is going to be worse and worse. But I still believe in miracles. I still believe in making our situation better, even stopping the hardcore torture. But you think about it, we know logically they're torturing people in their homes, right? We're targeted individuals. They're literally raping our minds. It's literally basically an industry of torturing people and collecting data off of it. None of this stuff is surprising, that they're screwing over humanity. If they do this, if they go to this level, screw over millions of people and torture them, then why wouldn't they go to this level and lie to people about a pandemic and make them all wear masks to suffocate themselves and lock them down and destroy a bunch of businesses? Some kind of white gunk. Dirty minds don't go there. It's just, I think it's like a donut crust or something like that. And then, okay, and then if everybody's fooled by the pandemic, they're destroying people's lives. Well, why don't they just like pay people to go burn down cities and stuff like that? You know, get a big global organization to destroy people's lives and try and bring in Marxists. It's got so much money. It's like they go to this level, people don't stop them. So then they go to this level and people don't stop them. People go along with it. And then they just keep going. They just keep going because they get away with it. I think we're at, we all know we're at a point where whatever they get away with, they're just going to do more, Slack TI says, Jen, I believe that before V2K. Oh, okay. See, okay, now I'm in Kindle. Like, I didn't even touch my tablet, and I got logged out of YouTube and sent to Kindle. I don't know why my attackers, it seems like they don't give an F anymore. It seems like they're really coming down on me hard because my air conditioner was off. I'm having problems in my life. I'm getting targeted real bad. It's like they're using all that. Hold on, let me get back to my channel. Screw that. They can't stop me. No one can stop me. No one can stop my channel. No one can stop us. We're going to have good things happen. I don't know how it's going to change. Things are going to change. The world may suck worse and worse, but we're going to get out of this torture, guys. Yeah, Sleeping Beauty says, I think you're right, Jennifer. I've heard the term DNA resonance, but I haven't looked much into it yet. Yeah. Yeah, Jennifer says that they use our DNA to direct the weapons on us. And your DNA resonates at the same frequency that your brain resonates at. So if they're targeting your brain, your DNA has the same resonant frequency as your brain. And that's what they're using. They're using like, the biofilm, nanotechnology, implants. Those are redundant systems so they can lock onto a person easier. But then basically you got to figure too, we have magnetite in our brain, which is a natural metal in our brain. And humans have evolved to receive electromagnetic frequencies. We're all biochemical beings. Like, when you're talking to somebody, you're kind of in their energy field. You can, even if you've been around a person for a long enough time, it's like you can almost like finish their sentences and stuff like that. So humans have evolved to receive electromagnetic frequencies. This is just an abuse. It's taking directed energy, and the brain is already kind of naturally built to receive those frequencies and give off those frequencies. They just boosted that and used it to hurt us. I mean, it's a part of life. Frequency and energy is like a part of life. Yeah, Jennifer says, yes, Lack. I just mean they have no standards. The evil monsters, they'll do anything. This network of people and these murderers, they will do anything. They have no compunction. They have no scruples. These people have no scruples. They've just given that away, and they're like all in on hurting people and lying and stuff like that, and murdering with microwaves. It's and this is what I fear, that the top of the pyramid, they're really trying to look at the brain and the body, the human being, as an operating system, because they want to get rid of those scruples. They want to, with vaccines, with remote neural manipulation, but on a large scale, with gene therapy, right? With something they could do with directed energy weapons to the genes, to your genes and your DNA. They want to get rid of that the moral scruples of a human being, the spiritual connection, those things that make people fight for their freedom and things like that. They want to roboticize humanity, take away all that, really taking away people's morals. Like, they want to get that gone. So you've got to think they're kind of at the beginning stages of literally changing our genes with vaccines and all these biochemical and directed energy protocols that they have. So what are they going to do? You see him lifting up all these people who have no morals. They have no morals, so they'll give them jobs. These people who will murder innocent Americans, that put them on a hive mind team. They really want to make those people, give them a head start. And anybody who's really good, who wants to tell the truth no matter what, right? Not a compliant person, a person who always wants to do what's right. They want to really hurt those people. If they can't kill them, they want to at least keep them down while they have time to change everybody. And that's far in the future. That's far in the future that they would be able to get rid of, like, our faith and our morals. But that's why they have Bill Gates doing this stuff. They have Bill Gates doing this stuff because he worked on operating systems, and they want to look at the human brain and the human body as an operating system. Oh yeah, Tanya says, everyone, it is all about billions of dollars. They don't care what they do to us. Yeah, it's about quadrillions of dollars. Trillions to quadrillions of dollars. It's about solidifying. But what everybody, I think a lot of people understand, the people at the top of the pyramid are past money. They have all the money in the world. They have all the control of all the money in the world. They have Federal Reserve banks and things like that. They're past having all the money to do whatever they want. Control. They want control of the human race, to kill people off and control the rest. And we see them. I mean, like, I don't see how people aren't looking at everything. How is, like, my dad, and I think it's a double-minded thing. Like, he's smart enough to know something's fishy about it, but people, like, watch mainstream news and they look at these things that are happening in the world and they say, well, that's just natural. It's just happening. It's just the timing, and all these things are just happening at once. I don't see how anybody can look at what's happening in the world and say that's just by chance. I don't see how it's possible. This is planned. This is planned from the top of the pyramid. They work through different layers of the pyramid to pull different levers of the system to do all this stuff and push forward agendas. I mean, they have people in schools. Like, they have people, like, kids in schools have to wear little lanyards, right? They have to wear little lanyards where if they come in close proximity to another child, like closer than 6 feet, it will send off an alert in the surveillance system. So in a couple of different schools right now, they're building up the surveillance program in schools. We see how they're using all this to do more surveillance, more biometric surveillance. Actually, more biometric surveillance that they're actually even telling the public. Yeah, Jennifer says it's planned, and they work with the media to roll it all out to the public. That's what I keep thinking. Maybe our hope will be that they're trying to roll out. They're trying to roll out more of this stuff to the public, like even remote neural monitoring. So it may change the intensive, top secret programs of just, like, slaughtering us and microwaving us to death. could either they could get rid of us, or it might stop them. That's the two options that I'm seeing. It's not good, guys. Arachno Nixon says he's afraid to admit the truth. I think we all go through that up to a point. Yeah, and that's what I see with my parents. It's like, in part of their mind they see it, part of their mind they know it, but the other, it's double-mindedness, right? We're seeing all these things that human beings can't look away from. They're like, oh, there's no coincidence to that, right? And it creates this double-mindedness in good people. In good people that aren't us, like, we're targeted, so we look at this stuff, we're like, boy, that pandemic was certainly planned. Oh wow, Black Lives Matter is, burning down cities and stuff, and all this racial tension being created, and the cops getting defunded in a lot of places and going to be abolished in some. It can't be chance, right? But some people, they're good people, they see it, they're smart, but they can't imagine, right? Hoover, was the guy, the head of the FBI. I can't remember his first name, right? He said a conspiracy so big that people just can't believe it, right? People can't believe global conspiracies. People who watch the mainstream media cannot believe in global conspiracies, and so they become double-minded. Yeah, and it's not like Ricky says, that's why the federal government is so sophisticated. It's like not even the federal government. There's so many, there's like corporations and military and global governance. It really has become a Frankenstein monster. It has become like a Frankenstein monster.
Tweet from BitChute. YouTube has deleted Dan Dick's PFT of Press for Truth. Those are his two Twitter handles. Dan is well known for putting tough questions to politicians and other public figures, ones that deserve answers that the legacy media won't ask.
Yeah, he digs into some very important stuff.
And GoFundMe, it looks like, just terminated his campaign.
GoFundMe took $7,000.
I guess it's been a couple
away from,
and probably a year now. They demonetized him completely on YouTube. He was one of the first people who got hit with that.
He was very careful. What I'm seeing, and like y'all remember, guys, y'all remember watching Event 201? So they're in the simulation. The simulated, like, okay, coronavirus broke out. It came from pigs, blah, blah, blah. They got the military people. They got the government people, and they're all kind of playing out the simulation. They got fake newscasters working it out. There was this one part where they were like, where they go, okay, the rollout of increasing censorship, we're rolling that out, right? They're rolling that out in layers to use this stuff, to use the pandemic, to use racism, to use the sensitivity of like racism and that whole subject about what's going on. They're using that to just roll out censorship on people who are like really telling the truth, like people who are really getting in there, and they're like, okay, well, let's just look at the facts, right? They leave people up that are pretty emotional about it, I think, that use slurs or bad words or use certain words. Jennifer says, Kyle, you need to watch Barr's speech today about China if you haven't. Did he say anything about directed energy weapons? I kind of want to watch, but I just wanted to show you all that. Let's try and support Dan Dix. Try and go to BitChute and support him, because he tells the truth. He doesn't ever compromise, and just so many people are getting censored. I'm kind of wondering if I'll get censored. I'm like on the edge with the copyright stuff. I did share that, right? I shared my screen. Okay, let's go to this Liliana thing. I wanted to show that. That's really important. And I wanted to show just the beginning where she kind of sums it up. Maybe a lot of you guys have seen this, but I think it's good. Okay, this is the wrong one. This is a little bit later on. A little bit later on, she starts talking about she starts talking about DHS fusion centers and how they have different technology. So Liliana thinks that a lot of the actual torture is coming from DHS fusion centers. I know that they're involved with the gang stalking. They're involved in some tracking and stuff like that. But my research shows that it's like contractors under the intelligence agencies, under the NSA, under DOD, basically under the Pentagon, everything that's under the Pentagon and DARPA. Let's see if I can get to the right one here. But she was saying that she thought a lot of it was coming from DHS, like the actual weapons torture. Like, I know that DHS fusion centers, they'd be involved in the gang stalking. They'd be involved in like a lot of the surveillance. They would pass it on to the microwavers, right? And the microwavers would pass certain information to them. But I guess it's interesting. We might play it. We might go ahead and play that. It's pretty important. I know that they're both involved, right? DHS Fusion Centers, InfraGard, and then all these contractors are involved. I think the contractors do the very sophisticated stuff. But I guess that DHS Fusion Centers might carry out some of the external weapons attacks. It kind of got me thinking this. Sometimes I'm remote neural manipulated. I'm getting hit in the skull with an external weapons attack. I'm getting hit in the groin with an external weapons attack. My PlayStation controller is getting hit with an external weapons attack. My computer is being hacked in, right? So it's kind of hard for me to imagine like 2 or 3 people in a remote platform doing the remote neural manipulation, doing all of that stuff. Now a lot of it's automated, right? But I do think that there's some manual stuff. And I guess that there would be even layers. There would be even layers to maybe our external attacks, right? There might be ground weapons involved. There is ground weapons involved. I'm saying in your situation, some of it might be ground weapons. Then there's what our remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation team that works for contractors. I think they do the very sophisticated remote neural manipulation, external hits, things like that. But then there could be certain layers of electronics being hit, hacking into the computer that is actually carried out, by DHS fusion centers or even some external hits. We just need more information, right? We know who's involved. We know who does the most. I think I know who does the most sophisticated stuff, but I do think this stuff works in layers. It's very complicated, and that's why it's so hard to explain. But I think that DHS fusion centers might actually carry out, through law enforcement, through through people who are actually they're fusing together in fusion centers, might actually do some of the weapons attacks. And if the UN does a good enough investigation, a lot of this stuff can be completely figured out. I don't know. We know the people that are doing that. We know the organizations that are doing this. And we know that the organizations doing this have ties to the UN. We're just going to have to see, guys. We're going to have to really hope, and we're going to have to wait and see, and keep pushing till we get there. So this is just Liliana introducing herself, kind of talking about what's happened so far. So Liliana DeLuca, and if you haven't seen this, please go and watch it, guys. Liliana DeLuca, formerly of the United Nations, speaks about the targeting process.
I'll warn you about it. If it happens again, there'll be no further communication. It's just this problem.
And this is Terry. They're talking about how people accusing each other and defaming each other, not trusting each other. It gets really out of hand.
Thank you so much.
I don't know what to do about it. I'm suspicious of people.
To the guest of the night, and
hey, Feather.
I'm excited, and so Liliana's here, and I was speaking with her
Can y'all hear this okay?
about doing a call.
Okay, so Jennifer, you said that Bill Barr made a speech today about dangerous technology. There's a lot of stuff coming out to the public, but it just doesn't go so far as it hitting people with microwaves, suffocating people with microwaves, targeting the brain with microwaves. People know about facial recognition. People know about drones. People know about biometric readings at the airport. People know that you can be chipped and located, and a lot of things like that, right? But it just seems to kind of, when you, like the brain can actually receive signals and send signals. People are like, oh, no, that's crazy. And it is crazy, but it is happening. So it's a sci-fi problem that's actually happening. And so if you're a person out there that's not a target individual, you're like, hey, that's a sci-fi problem, that's crazy. Just imagine experiencing it. And then consider yourself lucky. And then help us. And then help us and our families to stop the directed energy weapons torture. Because it's really insane. Yeah, that's what Jennifer says. I believe the R&M is being done by contractors like Northrop Grumman. It's way advanced with AI. Yeah, I agree. But I kind of question like down the layers where you have the gang stalkers. You got some neighbors that use ground weapons. You got cars. You do have that kind of stuff that's used as supplement. And I'm like thinking about DHS fusion stations. I know they do a lot of tracking. They probably change street lights. They kind of organize the one light vehicles and state police, sheriff's department, whatever like that. Is there some use of ground weapons? Is there are your attackers at contractors doing remote neural manipulation, but then some people at the top of DHS Fusion Center do have access to it and can jump in sometimes? Like it's just like who does what, right? We're still kind of figuring that out. God, that'd be great. It'd be great if the UN really does a significant investigation, can track these frequencies, kind of like Melinda Kidder. Like we're getting there. We're getting there with the evidence building about people tapping through our network and stuff. That the UN does an investigation and like really find some stuff, and says this is look if you're a targeted individual. Like after they start doing some of the investigations, you contact the UN and we're going to measure frequencies. We're going to measure frequencies and we're going to confirm like what contractors coming to. And they start Max Egan got censored too. I didn't mention Max Egan got censored. I don't listen to him a lot. And I was about to say they slapped the contractors in the wrist for murdering people. He got banned from YouTube for saying what I want to say. So if you guys know about what Max Egan got banned for, that's what I want to say. I've heard some people saying like some of these people that got banned off of YouTube, they like say these inciting things, right? Things have been said about Dr. Horton, Max Egan, like whose team are they playing for because they say like violent things, like they'll say general and violent things, but I get that. Like having a YouTube channel and being murdered and what's been done to my family, what's been done to me, like while I'm being murdered, I get what Max Egan was saying about and what Dr. Horton said. And I think when you're in your most angry moments about being targeted, it's hard not to say those things. And it really should happen, But like if the UN can do an investigation and hopefully like I think it will lead to better ways to track the frequencies if they're allowed to actually do it, right? I think that's what we're all kind of wondering about is the UN, are these contractors going to allow the UN to do this, right? Because the UN, some people in the UN are all for this. They are actually helping this Agenda 21 and some of these, creating the fires, creating weather and stuff with electromagnetic frequency. They know about that stuff, the heads of the UN. But it's that we've got to remember left hand, right hand. Like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing a lot. So you might have some kind of friction that way. You might have some people in the UN that are like, oh, this is an injustice and this is torture, and they're working against it. And then some people who are like trying to cover up. You don't have across the board cooperation in the murder of mankind. You just don't have across the board cooperation with that. Slack to you guys says they always do. Tanya says, I understand how they feel when they overtake your mind. I think that they'll give me their feelings sometime. Stacy says, whatever happened to that Bob guy who was supposed to help TIs? He disappeared. Was he in California, Stacy? Stacy says some guy, Bob, who was trying to get together a team to help investigate, he was going to start in California. We had the attorney Schumann, then that guy, Bob, who was supposed to investigate. I don't know. I never contacted him or even heard about him. I haven't been staying in touch with what's happening on the calls and stuff like that. Yeah, John says I would love to be scanned. I think we'll have some cheaper ways to get scanned, because you can go to Melinda Kidder or the other lady. It costs so much though. Let's listen to this. I'm rambling on too much. I got my rambling done in the first video. My brain's really effed up, guys. My brain is real effed up. It's really bad. So just bear with me if you're a target individual. If you're not, bear with me too. It's really, really bad. So, like really like one of you, and then your brain is like twisted, so you can't even feel the way you did before the torture. We're gonna move forward though. I actually do. Like, I'll tell you all the truth. Like, I have a lot of hope in what's gonna go on with the unit. Like, I just think that, like, even at the bottom line, they just announce it, right? And then they announce an investigation, but then like the Cuban embassy attacks, right, happened. You had this Senate investigation that got, when they started talking about microwaves, stopped dead in its tracks, right? So let's say worst case scenario that happens, we've still got them stating that it's happening. So it can create a lot of change. The mainstream news, we can send it in, right? We can send, we as well, especially the organizations like TI organizations can send in press releases to local news and to national news. So what we might need to start doing is individuals is sending in press releases, from that stuff. But hopefully the mainstream media will actually, look at it. Hey, Arella. Arella says, anybody else get emotions injected into you? Yes. Yes. My attackers can make me feel like some of the people on my hive mind team, and they can evoke emotions out of they can like rape my brain into creating emotions that I never had before. It's really advanced. What's up, Jared? Dude, there's only 22 people in chat. I had like 50-something people in earlier. I guess that's why my attackers do it. Is if they can stop a live stream that's just like going pretty smoothly, and you build it up, right? They cut it and people kind of like go on to do something else, and it can kind of screw up those numbers. Well, thank you, everybody who is here. Thank you for being here.
Now, I was unaware of, so I imagine some of you were unaware of it as well.
Let's just do your like kind of tell the general thing. That's
all. I want to give a little background just in case
I'm
someone out there doesn't know who you are.
About myself?
Yeah, so people know, because you'd be surprised. We have new people coming in all the time, and so maybe they don't know exactly who you are. And you work in the United Nations, and about your involvement with the UN.
Yes, I worked for 25 years at the UN Department of Public Information in New York. And
that kind of, I listened to who she works for. The UN Department of Public Information, right? I'm not saying anything, like, I'm saying this is good with the UN. Oh man, they logged me out of my YouTube again. Hold on 1 second, guys. Gotta just learn how to like just race through what my attackers are doing. But do y'all find that that's kind of interesting? That's kind of interesting that Liliana works for the UN Department of Public Information. It's just kind of interesting. I'm not saying anything, she says she's a targeted individual. But I'm really not saying, I don't want to say anything. I just want to like go for facts here. But it's just interesting how the UN Department of Public Information. So are they trying to make some information that is secretive? Are they trying to make it public? And maybe, I don't know. And I don't want to say anything about anybody, but that's just interesting. It's just interesting that she works, so she knows how to release information to the public, right? In New York, she works for the Department of Public Information in New York.
I've been communicating with these TI support groups like PAX International and UCATCH in Europe. So
UCATCH?
I knew Magnus Olson, and we started working together to try and help him get approved for participation at the Human Rights Council. And we were able to do that. And then he met the Special Rapporteur on Torture, and he was able to discuss with him a lot of issues that are of concern to the community. And that has been very helpful because he was able to
Does anybody in chat know like how Magnus Olson, like how did they set this up? Like how did Magnus Olson and Liliana, did they just schedule an appointment with the Special Rapporteur? Does Magnus Olson like have credentials, or did they use Liliana's credentials? I think that's kind of interesting. Would we be, I mean, like, well, it's happening, right? And we're all sitting in our information, but I'm just thinking, could we have made an appointment before? It happened, so I'm just wondering. I'm trying to think of what Magnus's credentials are, because I just thought he was a target. I know he made that pendant. But I guess they used Liliana's connections with the UN to have an appointment with Niels Melzer.
The Special Rapporteur knew about our predicament, and he found out that he knows everything, and that he's going to help us.
So he already knew it,
with these issues.
So the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture already knew that this was going on. Like already knew that microwave torture was going on around the world. Agreed to get our issues out.
Especially now that he asked for our input recently, so that he could hurry to write a report to the United Nations General Assembly in October, and that will have an impact on the world, because that is reaching top level of exposure for an international issue to be at the General Assembly, and out of his report may come a United Nations General Assembly resolution on how to deal with this issue, going forward.
So is he going to give them the report before the October General Assembly, and then they talk about it in the October General Assembly, or is he going to present the report in the October General Assembly? I guess it doesn't matter. It's the same way. It's still declared in General Assembly if he reads the report. But I was thinking, and that'd be great if they start making resolutions right away. If they're like, this is happening, we've got all these people giving testimonies, we've got targeted individuals giving testimonies, we're going to go ahead and make resolutions specifically for this. It'll put the clamp down on contractors. So the UN will declare it a crime against humanity to specifically use directed energy on somebody, specifically remote neural manipulate them, specific resolutions, not just a general torture resolution, right? But a specific resolution. But then I was kind of thinking, well, are they going to have to do the investigation first and then come out with the resolutions? But she seems to think that after, that'd be great if they just announce it, reads this report at the UN General Assembly in October, and then they just create specific resolutions.
And a lot of stuff could come out, of this session. And of course, the press, because this is going to be an official report of the UN.
Great.
The press cannot state that this is a delusional issue, but they have to accept the fact.
I wonder if the press is going to report on it. But we see how they're so complicit, right? We see the Mockingbird media. See what's his name? I can't remember his name. The son of Vanderbilt, Gloria Vanderbilt, Anderson Cooper. How Anderson Cooper is like attacking the president, like he's like a CIA operative. I'm just wondering if people like that will be forced to report it. I think there's some hope in this, guys.
Millions of victims of these crimes against humanity that we are suffering around the world. And before we go into the subject quickly, I wanted to say to you and I guess.
Okay, so she goes into something about like if you think somebody's like an agent or something like that. She says that they're setting something up so that it could be brought to Derek and Pax or the leadership of the target individual community, and you have to bring evidence. My only problem with that is that if somebody's a surveillance role player or like an informant turned agent provocateur, there's not paperwork. You don't have paperwork. You have like what they did to you, and you have like, wow, that's weird and stuff like that. But you don't necessarily have like this compiled, specific, documented evidence. So she does talk about that, like kind of creating something like if you have questions about somebody, like, and it totally does exist. I mean, we have controlled opposition. There are people from every state that do cyber hacking. And that actually do get in there, and Brian was talking about it. Like me and Brian were talking the other night, and he was like, when you're a targeted individual. Now, I do think that we have some random encounters, some random conversations with our families and stuff. I think maybe they're remote neural manipulate. Some people's families are like actually involved. But one thing that they really want to do is they want to give you stimuluses that are measured, that are predictable, right? So then they can use the remote neural manipulation with those stimuli, right? Like from gang stalking. So they're obviously going to put people in chat rooms and things like that to actually like plan stuff out that they can like, hit you with, and then the remote neural manipulation can work with those things. So it definitely does happen. I don't think it's a huge percentage, Ragnar Nixon says, hello, fellow government victims. Have you engaged in any non-sanctioned activities lately? Hello. Dude, almost like all the targeted individuals I know are just normal people who haven't done anything wrong. Like it was like maybe they had a surgery, or they had to, maybe they had to get some kind of disability from a workplace, or they were outspoken or something like that, or they looked into a certain sensitive topic. Sometimes just dated, like maybe dated law enforcement or something like that had a connection to this program. Jared says, remember when Trump was going to lock her up and drain the swamp and build the wall? LOL. None of the above. Yeah. A lot of people, this is what, okay, so I look at Trump sometimes and I'm like, oh man, he does seem to be like he's going to stop people from tearing down statues, and he's going to send in help for the police for those areas that are really getting burned down. He didn't wear a mask. He didn't wear a mask up until like a couple of days ago, right? He's doing all this stuff that seems like he's fighting the BS, right? But he's still like an ultra Zionist. He has a lot of Israeli backers and things like that. And then I hear people saying, I can't remember his name, Mini Fish. Please watch him. That guy has the wisdom straight from God. And what he says is they're playing out the black and white checkerboard. So Donald Trump is the white checker on the checkerboard, and then you've got, like, you know, maybe some Democrats and you know, BLM. They're the black on the checkerboard. Like, they're the kind of the evil, and he's the good. And that's why I look at some of the things that Donald Trump does, and I'm like, oh, he's really good. He's trying to help us. He's trying to correct America, right? I mean, some of the stuff he's doing looks really good, but it's this game, just like Democrat or Republican, right? And we've talked about this before, but sometimes I just want to hope so bad that I'm like, oh my God, Donald Trump may actually be doing some really good things. He is actually, because he's playing the white tile. He's playing this thing where people who are really good can, like, resonate with that and be like, oh, well, he's a good guy. He's trying to bring us back from the brink. And then the people who are the black tile can, you know, get in with the Democrat side. And I'm not saying like all Democrats are evil or something like that. I'm just saying, like, the leadership is kind of like black tile, white tile. Because let's look at this. Let's look at this, guys. Yeah, Jennifer says, yes, Tanya, I think targeting runs in some families. My dad is targeted. My aunt is targeted for sure. Those two. My mom, I'm pretty sure. It seems like they're going because they're murdering so many people in my family that there's some type of balance that they're trying to get where they're murdering the crap out of me and my dad, just mind controlling us and everything like that. And I think they actually, like, kind of feel sorry for my family. They're hurting my mom in certain ways, but they're not just demolishing us. And I know that sounds weird, but I think these agencies, I mean, they're targeting, like, definitely my aunt, my dad. I think they're targeting my mom too. I think she, you know, I'm not saying my dad's not a hoss, but my mom is like, oh, dude, she is like, she's got so much grit. My dad does too. So I'm not sure, but my mom, it's like something so bad happened to my dad where it's like he had an aneurysm, like brain injury, and he's had to go through that. So I can see that it's happening. With my mom, it's like she doesn't say what's necessarily going on with her. Yeah, Sleeping Beauty says, I agree with you, Tanya and Jennifer. My mom's been targeted since I was a kid, and I never understood until they targeted me at 38. I'm 48 now. Yeah. Hey, Christian. Okay, so let's watch this, because I'm always like, oh, Trump's good. He is doing some good stuff, but then you look at something like this. You look at something like this, and you say, nope, he either doesn't know what is happening, and he thinks 5G is kind of just, you know, just going to power our cell phones and doesn't know about the science, or he's completely controlled, and he is the white tile.
To discuss a critical issue for our country's future, winning the race to be the world's leading provider of 5G.
And let me just say this: he says he wants the U.S. Okay, he says he wants we want to be the leader in 5G, whatever that means. Well, who was the leader in 5G in China? Wuhan. Wuhan had the biggest network, the biggest infrastructure in China, and look at what happened to them. Like, that's why I look at those. That's why I look at a lot of situations, right? But especially if you guys go look, and I might do some videos on this, but those, I guess they're apartment buildings, right? It's kind of like low-income housing in Australia. They have all those people that are coming down with the CV virus, but then they're keeping people who are testing negative in those buildings. Keeping people who are testing negative for it, they want to keep them in there because they're maybe allowing something to spread, right? Like the novel coronavirus, the low fatality rate, but they may also just be blanketing that building in microwave radiation. People are they're gonna release exosomes. Their bodies are gonna react to it. They're gonna get very sick. Then Australia can say, oh, those areas are completely like those places have been taken over by the virus, right? So we're dealing, I mean, we're dealing with the things that we're dealing with in our society. It's military op after military op after military op, and then angles of military ops being played out of it. With people doing their compartmentalized jobs, like the cops that are keeping them in those buildings, not necessarily knowing the big picture, but the people further up the pyramid, military op after military op after military op, to send it out over the mainstream media to scare people in Australia, to scare people in the U.S., to scare people in other countries, and to keep the whole place on lockdown, to keep more states on lockdown in Australia and the U.S. This was, wait, when was this from? This was from April 12th, 2019. It's 5G now. We were porgy. We were porgy and everybody.
We have to get 4G. And then
Oh, he said 4G.
Before that, we have to get 3G. And now we have to get 5G, and 5G is a big deal, and that's going to be there for a while. And I guess
you guys think he just doesn't know? This is one where, like, I want to believe. Just want to believe he's doing good stuff, trying to bring America back from the brink. Maybe he just has some Israeli backers. Jared Kushner's, like, you know, telling him kind of what to do and how to react to things. I want to believe that he's just ignorant of everything that's going on, and he's just not told of the global plans. But then you start looking, and this is why I would, like, say, oh, well, Donald Trump's a good guy because he's the black tile, right? Because I'm a good guy. Like, I'm not playing some black tile crap thing, but he is. And so people like me who are good would look at him and say, well, he's kind of logical about that stuff. He's trying to stop the destruction of cities. He's trying to put his foot down with cities being burned. But I think that as I look at it more and go look at Many Fish's channel, we might watch that. We might watch that where he says, I'm going to look that up. I really do. I think it's that sophisticated. I think the trick on the people of the world is that sophisticated. And they use algorithms, and they understand that people are waking up and knowing the truth more and more and seeing these ridiculously bizarre things. So they make it extra complicated. Or even somebody like me and y'all might look at the CV virus and be like, well, it looks like it's kind of real in some places. Like, it's actually, there's a novel coronavirus. The fatality's low, but something else is going on there too, but we wouldn't know exactly what, right? And then I wanted to say, what else was I going to say? I can't remember. My brain is doing really bad. I can't remember what we were gonna look at after this. Oh no, we're gonna look at Many Fish. Okay, let's just hold that thought in my head. I might have to write that down. But let's watch the rest of this.
And we're grateful to be joined by FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, who's been doing a fantastic job.
Ajit Pai.
And Deputy Secretary of Agriculture.
I hate that guy.
Stephen Sensky.
Ajit
Thank
Pai.
you very much, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Jennifer Burns says he knows it's all an act. You think it's all an act? He doesn't look that smart. Yeah, Sleeping Beauty says it may have been earlier, but I knew for certain at 38 that weapons were used on me. I was never tortured before I was 38. It's been 10 years. Yeah, my overt torture was like when I was 30. But then I looked back and I was like, oh, I thought a bunch of the pain and this is a link to Magnus Olsen, EUCACH on web and FB above. Hope you're doing all right. Yeah, I'm hanging in there, Mike. I hope you and Sophie are doing good. Pepper says hi. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's getting crazy, Mike. Mike says, I've been targeted for years, and the first time lately accused of being fake and of stalking somebody. Yeah, dude, I get accused of it, and I'm suspicious of people. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I don't trust, I trust some people, but like my attackers, the kind of remote neural manipulating and psyops, it's very sophisticated. So I'm very suspicious. I get overly suspicious of people. I just don't. The thing that I think would help us, the thing that I really think that would help us is if we find documentation on exactly how PSYOP operations are done, like at the level of people faking being targeted individuals, people doing specific things, like maybe coming into your life. I need to learn more about surveillance role playing, more about what certain states are doing, and that's hard information to get to, you know. So I get accused, and I'm suspicious of people. Like I'm like, I trust some people. Like I trust Mike a lot because I've known him from the beginning. I trust my friend in Canada because I've known him from the beginning. They experience a lot of the same exact things that I do. But you know, that's what it's all about. It's about making us paranoid. Even the most, like, I've never been a paranoid person for my targeting, but it just, like, remote neural manipulation, specific time things and stuff like that makes me ultra paranoid. And I think that other TIs experience that too. They really try and perfect these protocols when we get together, timing certain things. But then, you know, there actually are people who carry out PSYOP protocols on targeted individuals. So it's not like, and it's a crazy thing. Like I've been suspicious of people before, and I'm like, oh man, I'm being a crazy person. Like I'm being crazy, and it you know, and I feel bad about it. But like the hardcore stuff that's going on, I have to forgive myself and be like, this is hardcore stuff, and I'm not a mean person, and I'm not trying to like dump on somebody that's a targeted individual. Like people that have maybe accused me of being fake and stuff like that, just because I have a YouTube channel, I kind of have to forgive that. Yeah, Mike says, same here. We've known one another since the Lamentations days and the Wall of Shame. For those of you guys who don't know about the Wall of Shame, the Wall of Shame was in that house that burnt down when I was like severely externally tortured with microwaves. And I got the anger and the anxiety frequencies, but I was hearing my V2K from like where my neighbor's house was. I don't think it was coming from there. I think that they were hitting me with V2K, so I heard it from there, right? They positioned it, and that's hard to explain, right? But you hear it from a certain direction. And so I'd walk over this wall and I'd throw chairs into it and punch the wall and kick the wall and scream over at my neighbors. Man, I think back to those were traumatizing times. Like, this stuff is intensely traumatizing, and it never stops.
Really tremendous.
It never stops.
Secure 5G networks will absolutely be a vital link to America's prosperity and national security.
So, Mike, what is Magnus Olson? What are his credentials? Is he just a targeted individual that like worked at some kind of, did he work at some sort of tech company, or did he have like pretty high up there credentials or something? Yeah, James Stewart says, we'll see how many of you guys are still here by fall, then we'll know. I think we got to hold on till October. I think we got to have, yeah. Mike says, thrown corkscrews, kick the wall, etc. All this pain to people for nothing. Well, it's a lot of experimentation, Mike. I think they're making a lot of money off this. But really for nothing. Really for nothing, because money can be made in other ways. Science can be done in a virtuous way. You know, I think that plays into it all. Sleeping Beauty says, the tech is so advanced and deceptive, it will certainly make you think that neighbors and family are involved, but I doubt they are in most cases. The tech is too advanced. Yeah, I agree, Sleeping Beauty. I do think that they're, like, you can look up surveillance role player, you can look up some of these jobs, and I really do think, because me and Brian talk about this a lot, and just like gang stalkers are trying to evoke a certain reaction, they'll do a specific thing. and then the remote neural manipulation will do a certain like feeling, will play that thing over and over in your brain and stuff like that. So they've got to have planned incidents like gang stalking to actually work with the remote neural manipulation, the directed energy weapons torture. So it is actually like the society side, and to done it, they're targeted, but some targeted individuals, they say their families are involved. You know, I don't know about those situations. I think that we're dealing with both things. It gets so confusing, and the only way that I see that we can solve it, can resolve it, is to just collect more data on exactly what they do, on job descriptions, like I'm talking about high level job descriptions of this spy game type crap, right? This spy game type crap of what your neighbors do, maybe what people come into your life. I think that we have to like really dig, and we're going to have to reveal, you know, some of those top secret things so that we can rest assured of exactly what is carried out. Now, how to get to those things, is the UN going to help us? Like, I hope so. But I see that's the only resolution. Because I'm sure sometimes we've all been suspicious of people who are not targeted individuals. Maybe their mind's getting messed with. Maybe they are another targeted individual. And then maybe sometimes people are suspicious of us, you know, too. It's a big mess, is what I'm saying. It's a big steaming pile of crap, is what I'm saying. Fat Game Boy says, how do you become a TI? Just randomly chosen? I've always felt like I was being followed but paid no mind to it. Now it's becoming clear with your channel. Well, you know, people get picked in like for revenge, for maybe talking about a certain issue, maybe just because they had a surgery, maybe they dated law enforcement that's connected to this program, or ex-military that's connected to this program. You know, maybe they had neighbors that they were too loud and their neighbors didn't like them. Their neighbors knew somebody connected to this program. So many different reasons you get put into the program at a lower level, right? There may be reasons higher up that we don't know, reasons that we speculate on, many different reasons to get put into it. But then once you're put into it, you're put on this torture track and this remote neural manipulation track. So what they start doing to you is pretty much to make money, experiment off you, do trauma-based mind control, destroy your life, you know, kind of create a surveillance tree. So they start doing these things to your family. But I think it's many reasons why we're put into it. Yeah, and Stacey says, and some people are accused of being a perp when they are. Yeah, I've been accused of that a lot. Yeah, that's definitely true. Let's watch the rest of this. I kind of got to use the bathroom, guys. Like play this and use the bathroom.
5G will be as much as 100 times faster than the current 4G cellular networks. It will transform the way our citizens work, learn, communicate, and travel. It'll make American farms more productive, American manufacturing more competitive, and American healthcare better and more accessible.
And I think one of the things,
almost everything.
Like I think that pretty much this program can directly target people pretty efficiently. But I think building a bigger 5G infrastructure allows for like kind of the holes to be filled up of direct targeting. But I think it also makes it more dangerous for broadband targeting, like mind control over whole communities and cities. Just one angle of you know, a bigger 5G infrastructure.
It's pretty amazing. And just as 4G networks.
Why wouldn't he say? Yeah, totally. Like, why wouldn't he say anything about like the dangers of it? Like, if he was a good man and he was trying to protect the American people, you got kids getting cancer, kids like losing the ability to reproduce. We got people being targeted, you know, like getting all kinds of weird illnesses, being affected by microwave radiation. Like, if you really cared about American people, like, he's doing some of this good stuff on a certain level, but this is the ultimate killer. Like 5G, the energy weapons grid that energy weapons infrastructure is the ultimate killer of human beings. So if this guy's so good, you know, why is he just like, well, it's good business. We want to help the telecommunications industry, want to be the leader in 5G, you know? He does some stuff that really confuses me that I'm like, that's good. But then on some things, it's real bad. This is real bad. And it does seem like he's a businessman. I know that maybe he doesn't speak as eloquently as some, but he's not a stupid guy. Like with 5G, he would know about scientific research on cancer. And I'm kind of, I don't want to go there. Like, I don't want to get there. But I'm kind of coming to the conclusion, maybe I was there already, that he knows some people are being experimented on. That he knows a lot of people are being experimented on. And maybe he thinks, well, it's like, oh, these are people that did something wrong, and we've got to surveil their brains. It's a horrible.
Smartphones and all of the exciting breakthroughs.
That's a horrible.
Made possible so many things. This will be more secure and resilient. 5G networks will also create astonishing and really
Sleeping Beauty says, I wish my father was still alive. He worked for AT&T in level 3. I'd have so many questions for him. And my dad worked in telecommunications. He worked with a company. He sold the company for a lot of money, and then he was trying to get wideband signals down south. And this company, WorldCom, and then another company screwed him and a bunch of other investors over, didn't give him the specific equipment to broadcast those wireless frequencies, and they wanted them back. Like, and I think that company was tied into the military-industrial complex. So your dad working for AT&T at level 3, it may actually have something to do with your targeting, Sleeping Beauty. J. Ritter says Trump is a Kabbalist. Yeah, Jennifer says Trump always has the same script. I just want to believe that he's on our side. I just really want to believe, but I don't. I'm still going to talk about the good things that he does, and I still think that he'd be better than Biden. But you know, when you're like targeted, when you're like a real person that sees the truth, you do have to admit that it's like he's doing so many bad things. To be the leader in 5G, Wuhan was the leader in 5G in China. It's bad.
Opportunities for our people.
It's bad, man.
Opportunities that we've never even thought we had a possibility of looking at. We cannot allow any other country to outcompete the United States in this powerful industry of the future. We are leading by so much in so many different industries of that type, and we just can't let that happen.
Listen to this.
The race to 5G is a race America must win, and it's a race, frankly, that our great companies are now involved in. We've given them the incentive they need. It's a race that we will win. In the United States, our approach is private sector driven and private sector led. The government doesn't have to spend lots of money. According to some estimates, the wireless industry plans to invest $275 billion in 5G networks, creating 3 million American jobs quickly, very quickly, and adding $500 billion to our economy. And as you probably heard, we had another alternative of doing it that would be through government investment and leading through the government. We don't want to do that because it won't be nearly as good, nearly as fast, and especially in that business, I think that they'll be better doing the job.
Listen to what he says. Like, he says something really weird coming up.
To accelerate and incentivize these investments, my administration is focused on freeing up as much wireless spectrum as needed. We're going to free it up.
That's what my dad was the star witness in court for this company. He won't tell me who the company was. My mom can't remember it. And they were buying wireless spectrum. The company that is in question, and I'm going to get the name out of him, they wouldn't give him the right equipment, and him and other investors were buying up wireless spectrum, right? And that's the military industrial complex uses, a certain wireless spectrum to target us. and some of the layers of this, right? Because then there's over the horizon radar. It's actually straight from satellites, straight from drones and stuff like that. Freeing up as much wireless spectrum. So who are they buying that from? Stuff like that, and then the military-industrial complex has control over it.
So they'll be
Regulatory cancers who are by these big microwave towers. What about all the scientific data? You want to remove the regulatory barriers of how dangerous it is to human beings, so that he can, so that these huge telecom companies can make so much money.
We'll discuss with you in a moment.
They never talk about this. When anybody says Trump is so good and they show all the stuff that Trump is doing that is good, never, and they never have it on mainstream news. Not MSNBC, not CNN, not Fox, not either of them. Whenever Trump signs a bill to make America the leader in 5G, it's never shown on it. There's always something big going. There's always something huge going on in the world that's taking center stage, and then all these removing barriers gets passed while those big things are happening, and everybody's got their attention focused on something.
Taking very bold action, probably bolder than they've ever taken before. It's a new frontier to make wireless spectrum available. By next year, the United States is on pace to have more 5G spectrum than any other country in the world. That's a big statement.
That's a really dangerous thing.
Some people got ahead of us. We should have been doing this a long time ago, as advanced as it may be. In addition,
and what are they doing with that? Like, aside from directly murdering us in our home, aside from directly murdering targeted individuals in their home, like how much broadband mind control is happening from this new 5G infrastructure, with everything from the CV pandemic to civil unrest and people being murdered in the streets in certain areas going on at the same time as the 5G infrastructure is being built, is being solidified.
To develop a national spectrum strategy to free up even more spectrum for economic activity, including 5G.
But no scientific research done on how dangerous it is.
The FCC has also taken action to streamline the permitting process.
And I want to mention this, a lot of you guys know this, but the active denial system is 60 gigahertz. Like the active denial, which they point at crowds, the crowds disperse and everything like that, 60 gigahertz, which a lot of 5G is 60 gigahertz. Yeah, Jared says Q is so fake. I think that it was done by some hackers, and then it was done by some hackers, and then I think actually people who support Trump, military that supports Trump, got a hold of it. They like bought it or something like that, and it switched hands. And I think they use it. Now, I don't think it's Mossad, but I think it's U.S. intelligence or U.S. like someone in the DOD that is using it to bolster Trump's base and to only say positive stuff about him and to keep anything negative out of Trump's base's mouth. Hey, Ann says, hey, Kyle, how are you hanging in there? I'm making it. I'm not doing so well tonight, I'll be honest. Kind of getting messed up. I'm making it though. I'm gonna get that. We're gonna get through this stuff. It's really painful. It's really, really bad stuff. It's happening to me and my family. It's like so tough sometimes that I'm like, man, I got to get information out. That I can't. It's hard. It's hard. Like my attackers are raping my brain as I do this stuff. And I've always kind of battled through it, but at this point, I'm like, oh my God, are they just going to erase what I'm saying? Like, are they just going to erase my brain whenever I'm talking about stuff? Ann says, people need to realize that these people are groomed by the power that be to be in government. No one in government is there for our best interest. I believe that. So I think it's left versus right paradigm, white tile versus black tile paradigm. Sometimes it's just like people really want to have hope. They see someone like Trump doing some good things. They want to believe that he's there for good reasons. Oops. Okay. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let's play the rest of it. He says something weird. He says 5G is a technology that is going to do a lot of things that people can't even imagine right now. So he's not just talking about new things with cell phones. He's actually talking about some things like remote neural monitoring, biometrically reading people, right? Surveilling people, tracking people, and stuff like that. He says it in a weird way. Let me run to the bathroom real quickly.
With state and local governments, that's a big deal.
But he says something really weird.
It takes too long to get permits. We're going to free that situation up, and we're going to put limits, and the local areas are going to listen to us very, very strongly. They have a big incentive to do that. They must now approve new physical infrastructure within 90 days instead of many years. It can sometimes take 3, 4, and 5 years. And we're going to put a limit of 90 days. And there is now a cap on the unreasonable fees local governments often charge. They get greedy. They think, hey, we can really take advantage, and it ends up that everybody gets hurt. So we're putting a cap on those fees. These changes will contribute greatly to building high-speed networks across America, and it's going to happen very quickly, very, very quickly. By the end of this year, the United States will have 92 5G deployments in markets nationwide. The next nearest country, South Korea, will have 48. So we have 92 compared to 48, and we're going to accelerate that pace greatly. But we must not rest. The race is far from over. American companies must lead the world in cellular technology. 5G networks must be secure. They must be strong. They have to be guarded from the enemy. We do have enemies out there, and they will be. They must also cover every community, and they must be deployed as soon as possible.
At Ring, we've reinvented the doorbell. So no matter where you are, or what time of day, you can watch over your home and the things you care about.
Hello? Oh, hi. Package for John?
Thanks.
Hey, Mrs. Randall. Hi, can you let us in?
And it's so simple, you can install it yourself in minutes. See, hear, and speak to whoever's at your door with the new Ring Video Doorbell 3. Learn more at ring.com.
Hey guys, I'm Mike Ledford, former award-winning hedge fund trader, now current head trader for True
Did he
Trading
finish
Group,
that?
called TTG.
Don't hear him say it. He was like some things that people can't even imagine that 5G is going to do. Okay, that's what I got to watch. Apparently, no, said Barr, not Pompeo. Jennifer was saying, Barr was saying something about dangerous technology in China. So we all need to look for Barr's latest conference. Hey, Andy. Hey, man, and people subscribe to Andy's channel. He's a targeted individual that's been speaking out on YouTube for a while. Andy says, hi, Kyle, still hanging in there. Hope you're doing well. I'm not really, Andy. I'm doing okay spiritually. But it's like past trauma, you know? It's like past horrible trauma where I'm seeing my dad's like thoughts change in front of my eyes. Like I say this a lot, but I guess the only way I can explain it, it's like the Twilight Zone mixed with Mad Max, mixed with The Outer Limits. You know, it's just so violent and so weird. Creates bad things in my personal life. You know, I don't know how to make money to survive, so I'm trying to hang in there and use Social Security. I'm hanging in there. I'm going to get some good information out. We're going to make it till October. That's my big thing. I just see what's happening in the world, and they've done, to Americans right now, they've done this whole destroying countries, right? Creating race problems, creating wars in the street, creating destruction, creating an environment where socialism can take over and the country can be destroyed and controlled. They've done it in so many countries already, and I'm seeing these things play out in America and Australia. I don't know so much about what's going on in England, so it's like it's. I think everybody's kind of fearful for the future. Like, what's going to happen to humanity? Are we going to have anything even closer to a republic in some countries? And then it's hard to balance that. I'm sure you guys experience this. So you're being remote neural manipulated. You're being targeted. Your family's being hurt, or you're isolated from your family. You're going through these humongous personal issues that are murdering you in your own home, right? You get gang stalk, and then it's like, even in a world that kind of made sense, where there wasn't the pandemic, everybody wearing masks, everybody being crazy about stuff like that, about so many killings, right? So many killings in America. Even without that, with kind of a regular, it's still horrifying. You had to deal with your personal issues. It's hard to balance it. If you're a compassionate person, you see what's happening in the world, and it's really hard to say, like, oh, okay, well, I'm okay. It's hard to say, oh, well, I'm okay, when it was just like millions of people being targeted. There's some bad stuff going on around the world, but now this asymmetrical warfare, right, has sped up. And I think it makes it harder for compassionate people. It makes it harder for compassionate people that care about others, that don't want to see so much death and violence and torture. But who is this good for, right? Who's okay right now? I mean, like, and good people can be okay, right? We can put it into a perspective. We can do our best and everything like that. It's very hard. I mean, it's extremely hard to just be like, oh, well, life's great and I don't care about anything. But I'll tell you this much: sociopaths and psychopaths are like, this is their playground. They're just like, oh, everybody's hurting and stuff, and I can just do whatever I want, and they're hired by agencies and stuff. Yeah, Jennifer says, they have put me in this place where I can't function and live anymore because of the pain. It's like a limo waiting for something. Yeah. Please use Dave Case's CD, headgear. I'm still hurting with all the stuff that I use. Grounding. If you start out with grounding and Dave Case's CD, everybody that's in this chat, if you're targeted, you just use grounding. Get some grounding straps and stuff like that. Something for grounding. Start using Dave Case's CD. You can get a percentage down to where it's kind of bearable sometimes, right? My attackers are going really hard right now. Seems like as it's cooled, like the air conditioner started working again, because I kind of like rigged it up, and I feel a little bit better. When it's super hot, like when it's super hot in your environment, it seems like the targeting gets way worse. Ann says, it's the same, Kyle. I'm beyond frustrated. God gave us a brain and free will. They won't know what that is until it's gone, and it is everything. Yeah, a lot of these people, like my attackers who microwave me, like the guys are like, it doesn't matter. We've got to take them out. They don't know. They see everything bad that's happening, and they're like, oh, that doesn't have anything to do with us or whatever. They are doing stuff that is destroying humanity. It's directly killing humanity. And a lot of the order takers don't even freaking care. Hey, Bruce. Bruce says, this S is torture, man. My sister's B-Day was today. I couldn't go. I felt so terrible today. Yeah, I have to like really, to hang out with family. I used to have to like kind of boost myself up, but now sometimes I just don't go. I'm like, it's just too weird. I'm being murdered in front of them. I'm in a different reality being murdered, right? And then some of them are being murdered and don't even know. And it's beyond traumatizing. That's beyond traumatizing to just go hang out with my family. And they're all disappointed in me. like not all of them, but my extended family, my grandma, they're like, they don't know about this stuff, and they kind of have the mindset of when they were younger, 1990. This is how I like to explain it. People have this 1990 mentality. Like if you don't have a job and you're saying that you're being murdered by contractors and remote neural manipulated, it's just kind of like you're insane and mentally ill. People should just be able to go out and have jobs, because my mindset is in 1990 when things weren't so crazy. But even before 1990 and 1990 to 2000, but definitely after 2001, things took a bizarre turn after 9/11. More people surveilled, more people tortured, and now, 2020, we have asymmetrical warfare being played out globally, and people can't grasp it. Like a lot of people can't grasp it. And the problem we have is that even people who can grasp it, hey, we're not being told the truth. This is like psyops, asymmetrical warfare. This is a plan. This stuff was planned. We have a hard time knowing exactly what's going on. We know something's wrong. We know we're not being told the truth. But they have algorithms, and they've had so many people thinking about this stuff that they've made it very, very complicated. A bunch of different asymmetrical warfare angles. Let's look at this, guys. I want to show y'all a video from High Impact Vlogs where he's talking about people's hearts being tracked. I want to kind of get some of this important information off of my plate, because I've been stacking it up. I have some articles and stuff. We may go through like one or two, but I think I might do some single videos. The reason why I don't make single videos, like just going through an article, is I'm just like, it's an article. It's hard to make it like fun and stuff like that. And I kind of want to make YouTube videos that are a little bit entertaining. But I might do that. I might do that just so I can give you all the links to some of these articles. Okay, so this is Tracking Your Heart. This is High Impact Vlogs. Everybody should be subscribed to him. Very good man trying to get the truth out. I doubt he'll care about me playing this.
Including on beaches and including in restaurants, young people.
Federal, state, and local officials right now have been adamant about people social distancing.
Social distancing guidelines.
You have to remember that it's not just going outdoors that spares you from this virus. It's actually social distancing.
Social distancing.
Social distancing. Potential need for social distancing until 2022.
Tracking Your Heart Sensor. I think he does some pretty funny stuff too. So Bruce says, we're the test subjects for this military weapons system. Maybe in 40 or 50 years, they'll tell our story. Hopefully some of you will still be around when they start paying the victims. I don't know. I still have hope that it could change pretty soon. Turn on the computer, electromagnetic energy. We can do a lot of stuff with this. They're maybe even going to want to tell the public that they can look at their thoughts pretty soon. So with the stuff coming out on the surface, biometric tracing, tracking, things at the airport. I think that things are going to change so much on the top that they're definitely going to have to like change things on the bottom. Because like in hopefully a year, but maybe a little bit longer, we'll tell people, look, I'm getting voice to skull. My visual cortex is being messed with. Like I'm being hit with directed energy. People will understand what that is. I think so. Things are changing so much on top that there is hope for that kind of shaking up things in this top secret way they're doing it. This is what I think, because everything's kind of like this, but we have a hard time thinking this way. What's going on with the UN investigation is a huge red flag, right? It's a huge red flag that the powers that be are seeing that this stuff is coming out, and they want to get in front of it and release it in the way that they want to release it, right? That's what I'm seeing. I don't know fully. Maybe about some of it, like I may be wrong, but I kind of see it as Oh wow! Oh, the UN investigation. You know, the special rapporteur on torture is talking about this. It's time for this to come out. Like it's time for this to come out and change. Now, will we completely stop being tortured because we are hooked to AI, right? We are hooked to a computer system. People attach us to that so they can unattach us. Will they just keep that going and maybe take the hive mind teams off of it and just leave us on a base level remote neural monitoring? What's going to happen? I don't know, but I think there's a lot of hope just in the investigation happening. I think it signals that this stuff is going to start coming out. Sleeping Beauty says, I'd like to know what the point was in having the Presidential Commission for the Study of Bioethical Issues if they did nothing to stop this. And ironic that Fauci's wife was on that commission. Really, Sleeping Beauty? I know they had us that one year. It was in 2013, right? And then we weren't invited back. We weren't invited back. And that lady knew that it was happening. The lady that was the head of the commission or whatever didn't invite targeted individuals back. And they knew it. They knew that it was going on. Maybe they thought that only a couple of people would come to it, and they were like, oh, well, this will be easy to dismiss, but so many people showed up, and they all had documentation, x-rays, Dr. John Hall was there, many professionals, and they didn't think it would be that they didn't think it would be that concrete, right? They thought that maybe it'd be a couple of people who just sounded crazy would show up. They didn't expect like all the professionals, the organization of TIs. Maybe she did. Maybe the head of the commission didn't know. Christine Grady. CBU says, I agree. It is crazy. Her name is Christine Grady. She's also the head of human experimentation at the NIH. I bet you the NIH, a lot of those people know about this because this would be considered like bio something research, neurobiological research, definitely neurobiological research. And I think that a lot of these big pharmaceutical companies, hospitals and things, they're getting data off our bodies, our biometric readings, how our brain is functioning and stuff like that. Yeah, Arachnodix says human experimentation. Wow, WTF, that's so creepy. Everything in our society is so creepy right now. It's so creepy. Like there's so many real, so creepy things going on and just straight up murders. We're in a we're in an Outer Limits episode all the time, but it's extremely violent. It's not like Outer Limits where it's just kind of weird and there's like a weird technology. Well, no, the Outer Limits episode, The Stream. There's the Stream. It's called The Stream, and everybody has the internet wireless stream going to their brain, like going to this device like Neuralink on their head. One guy can't. He won't take this. He can't take the signal or something like that. And then there's an episode where people like are being basically remote neural monitored, but their brains are being taken over by a wireless system in a town. So the Outer Limits has all these episodes about kind of what's happening. So it's pretty intense. I was about to say, it's not as intense as in those episodes, but yeah, it's actually worse. It's actually way worse and way more violent.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, bud. With all these social distancing guidelines,
Does the volume suck, guys?
It's so dang important for the government and mainstream media to keep them separated.
I think we all kind of have suspicions about the social
People ask
distancing.
how an old codger like me stays in shape. The fact is, 80% of being healthy is what you cram or don't cram into your pie hole. You've probably already heard of the ketogenic or keto diet. To sum it up, it's a high-fat, moderate protein, low-carb diet that forces your body to burn fat rather than the glucose or simple sugars that so many people are addicted to. The bottom line is, this kind of diet works. And
I use Keto Elevate because it's specifically designed to help quickly and efficiently raise your ketone levels so you can reap bursts. Use my link in the supplies last.
Well, we're talking tonight about lifting social distancing guidelines. State by state, there's an eye-opening new study from a team of researchers at Harvard School of Public Health. It predicts under certain scenarios the potential need for those measures and school closures to continue until 2022.
How's the volume, guys?
Potential need for social
Does it really suck?
2022.
Okay, Ann says
It's
sounds
suggested
good.
that one of the reasons
Thank you,
for
man.
social distancing measures has a specific purpose. Some say military-grade surveillance equipment is being used to collect individual data, and the distancing gives social engineers the opportunity to isolate and identify subjects in the mass collection of personal data. MIT Technology
I think it
Review
makes a
put
lot
out
of
an
sense.
article that seems to lend a little bit of credibility to this assertion. The Pentagon has a laser that can identify people from a distance by their heartbeat. The Jetson prototype can pick up on a unique cardiac signature from 200 meters away, even through clothing. That's about 218 yards or over 2 football fields away. The article reads, everyone's heartbeat is different. Like the iris or fingerprint, our unique cardiac signature can be used as a way to tell us apart. Crucially, it can be done from a distance. It's that last point.
Now, I want to add in a targeted individual perspective. Our DNA has a resonance. Our brain has a resonance, and those things match. So he's saying, you know, your heart has a unique frequency to it. Your brain and your DNA do too. And that's how they pinpoint targeted individuals. That's how they're pinpointing people, is by unique brainwave signature. But that resonance, that unique frequency is going to be the same as your DNA. So I have no doubt that the heart has that special frequency. I don't know if that's the same as the brain. Okay, I don't know if my brain has the specific same unique frequency as my heart, but we know that the brain has the unique fingerprint, just like the DNA. Those match. I'm not sure if the heart's the same, but I just kind of wanted to add that in.
That has intrigued U.S. Special Forces. Other long-range biometric techniques include gait analysis, which identifies someone by the way he or she walks. This method was supposedly used to identify an infamous ISIS terrorist before a drone strike. But gaits, like faces, are not necessarily distinctive. An individual's cardiac signature, though, is unique. And unlike faces or gait, it remains constant and cannot be altered or disguised. A new device developed for the Pentagon after U.S. Special Forces requested it can identify people without seeing their face. Instead, it detects their unique cardiac signature with an infrared laser. While it works at 200 meters, longer distances.
And this is what you got to understand about lasers. Like, because a lot of targeted individuals will be like, I'm getting hit with a laser, right? Laser is just very compressed directed energy. It's a very compressed stream of energy. So it's like I'll get nailed by an external microwave, like in my groin. It's like it's a wide beam. But a laser is basically just pinpointed directed energy. So sometimes a laser it's completely invisible. Laser doesn't have to be like a red, thin red stream of energy. Laser is just directed energy, extremely compressed.
Pentagon's Combating Terrorism Technical Support Office said, I don't want to say you can do it from space, but longer ranges should be possible. My takeaway from that is they can probably do it from space. Contact infrared sensors are often used to automatically record a patient's pulse. They work by detecting the changes in reflection of infrared light caused by blood flow. By contrast, the new device called Jetson uses a technique known as laser vibrometry to detect the surface movement caused by the heartbeat. This works through typical clothing like a shirt or jacket, but not thicker clothing like a winter coat. The most common way of carrying out remote biometric identification is by face recognition. But this needs a good frontal view of the face, which can be hard to
see. I just think all this, like I'm seeing, like, okay, there's facial recognition. There's maybe something that can tell your heartbeat. It's like they're kind of throwing some things out to the public a little bit. and I'm not saying like high impact blogs is like an agent throwing. So he's telling the truth about like the things that he researches. I'm just saying it's done. I don't want to say intelligently. Intelligently, it signifies like good, kind of nefarious. It's so nefarious that they're introducing all these layers on the top, like, oh yeah, we're gonna get biometric readings and we do facial, but they've already gone way past that, and they've already gone way past that to the entire population almost. So it's this giant trick where people are like, oh man, they have facial recognition, surveillance in places. They've already gone way past where they can pinpoint anybody's brain and read signatures, like read and write to the brain. It's amazing how they set these layers up. Slack says, when I walked into the e-doctor, they already knew my temperature, probably my heart rate too. You know, Slack, I was wondering if they get that from the brain or if that's just, it's like millimeter waves or microwaves that just pick up temperature of the skin. So many layers of this stuff. I did want to say, okay, so Sleeping Beauty says, I'm almost finished with Snowden's book, Permanent Record. He makes reference to a geofence and says the NSA uses them on targets. A geofence. Me and Brian were talking the other night, and he said that when he went to Russia, so Snowden has gone to Russia, Susie Dawson from New Zealand has gone to Russia, Brian too has gone to Russia, but couldn't stay there. Brian said that when he went to Russia, the directed energy weapon attacks stopped. Susie Dawson said the directed energy weapon attacks, she said they stopped for a while. I'm not sure if they started again. And then you got Edward Snowden going there. And I was thinking that's the only place that I've heard that American targeted individuals have gone where the microwave attacks have stopped. Not sure if they start again, but I'm thinking about Russia, and I'm thinking that Russian intelligence, right? The Russian military industrial complex would have protocols where they could actually track and trace anything that the United States was shooting into their territories. So basically, I think that if the UN stuff does not go our way, hey Rose, Rose says, hey Kyle, if the UN thing does not go our way or some changes don't start being made, I think I'm gonna maybe try and go to Russia first. I think I've got to start doing that. If this keeps up, I'm going to have to like go to Ecuador or Russia and kind of try and get away. Yeah, Ricky, that's called gaslighting. Ricky says they like making the neighbors purposely cough to harass your mind and then retaliate when you cuss them out. And they're just like, I didn't do anything, like doing something just so massively awful to you, and then so you're reacting to something real, and then they're just like, you're crazy, that just came out of nowhere. That's like the whole world now. The whole world is this gaslighting awful place where people are awful, and it's like, oh, they just do all this stuff, and it's kind of like it's just so awful. And then if you react to it, you react, but you can't prove it, right? All this stuff, and you accuse somebody of something, you look crazy, and then they can hit you on that. So they can just keep on putting more layers on it. Oh, you're crazy, I wasn't doing anything to you, or whatever. That's how the whole thing's set up. It's sickening. You think, oh man, Lion Lamb says, I checked into Russia, it's not happening. What about Susie Dawson, Lion Lamb? Have you looked her up? That's what I was kind of thinking. I was kind of thinking they can probably get it going anywhere because I think there's cooperation. I think there's cooperation even between countries that seem like they would be. Look up Susie Dawson, Lion and Lamb. Tell me what you think. I just think there's competition between military industrial complexes, but then there's this global cooperation where, like, say I go to England, you know, if I go to the UK, which they cooperate with America, they have DHS fusion centers. They have Interpol, right? And I would be stalked there. I'd be hit with directed energy weapons. But even in those countries like China or Russia, they have competition against America, the American military-industrial complex with directed energy weapons. But globally, they want to be able to hit a targeted individual anyway. They don't want every targeted individual going over to like Russia or China from the U.S. and then it just stopping because we would just move there. Then they wouldn't be able to experiment on us, right? So I think they have like treaties and like, okay, well, you can go ahead and target your people if they come to Russia or China. But I doubt that the targeting would switch over to where the Russian military-industrial complex was targeting you with directed energy. Maybe GameStop. Hey, Biggie, how you doing? Hope everybody's hanging in there. Okay, Arachno Nixon, thanks for stopping by, bro. Thanks for stopping by. Arachno Nixon says I gotta go. Probably be back if when they don't let me sleep. Well, thanks for coming by. We're just gonna go through some information. I've piled up a bunch of stuff I wanted to show y'all, and since we're here, let's go ahead and go through it. Probably what I'm gonna be doing next is my comic book thing. Kind of get the creative juices flowing a little bit. But I want to go through this stuff. I've got a couple of articles that I want to show y'all after this. I was saying that I wanted to show something after the Donald Trump thing, but I can't remember it. It wasn't this, it was something else that I wanted to show.
A drone. Face recognition.
Dude, it's bad. Like the remote neural manipulation is so bad for me. Like I have to hold on to a thought or write something down. And if I don't, it's just like, it's just gone. My head gets this like, just pressure all around, a lot in the front. APB said, I finally got this to stop buffering. Hi all, hope everyone's hanging tough. Hi Kyle. Yeah, APB, I hope you're hanging tough too, man. Yeah, my first live stream, my attackers just wiped it out. Hey, Robert. Robert says, dude, it's HLS drones that look like stars. Use a laser and watch it scurry like a drone. All stars are drones and all around the world. Private companies, my man. Yeah, I agree that that's part of it, Robert. Like I go out and it'll be a starless night in my parking lot, but I'll see like one thing that's brighter than the North Star. And I agree that that's part of it. I don't think it's everything though. But I do want to mention that idea that you're saying, if you get a laser pointer, we should all try this. And I've heard it on, Ella did a conference call where she interviewed this guy who was like, you get a laser pointer and you point it in the direction of the directed energy coming at you, and it may actually confuse the targeting systems. So let's all try the laser pointers. I think they're pretty cheap. I think the laser pointers are really cheap. But I agree, Robert. I know that those drones that look like extra bright stars, right? Like it's too bright. It's like brighter than the North Star, and they'll show up sometimes when you don't see any stars in the sky. I believe that that's part of it. I believe they can directed energy from those drones. I believe they can surveil with those drones. Over the horizon radar. You've got microwave towers. You've got devices on microwave towers. You've got regular drones, regular drones that you can see in the sky, and then the drones like what Robert's saying is the HLS drones. You got a bunch of stuff. Robert Sands says, I'm the only one free and not blinded and able to read everything through my enlightenment. That's good, man. I mean, it's good that you got some defenses that work really well. You sure that you're 100% free? I don't know. You say blinded. I'm not blinded. Like, I've got a lot of good research. I'm hurting. Like, I'm hurting for my targeting and stuff like that, but I'm not completely blinded. So, But I'm glad that you're feeling better from your defenses. I felt very free at certain times from some of my defenses, and then it's like they've kind of adapted and hurt me a little bit. But no, I'm happy for you, man. I'm not blinded though. I find good information and stuff like that, so I'm kind of like, you know, don't insult me, man. I'm putting out good information and finding things, but I am pretty messed up from my targeting. You know, I'm gonna try mu metal. You're trying the mu metal stuff and the magnetic. I think the ways that you defend are very good, Robert. I think that people should check out your channel and see what you're doing. The problem though with mu metal and the magnetic helmets is a lot of target individuals, like I can't even afford that stuff right now, you know? Okay. Well, dude, I mean, that's good. Like, I'm really happy for you, but like, I think even targeted individuals that are still going through it and hurting, like, it's not necessarily like our brains are completely tricked and everything we look into is wrong. It's just that we're being targeted, you know? Robert says, the lasers showed me that they receive as well, which brings me to a point that they take frequency drugs to stay awake. They have every frequency. That's why they are up. Maybe so. So, okay, so Robert says, you're not blind, it's rabbit holes. These people work from home. So you don't think there's any kind of military installations or corporate buildings where contractors have integrated weapons platforms? You think it's all in people's homes? You think they work from do you think they work from homes in your area? We just got to find out more, man. I mean, I'm not saying you don't know a whole lot. I'm just saying we've got to do more investigation, because it's like, even when you're really sure about stuff, about what's going on, you tell other targeted individuals. It's like, if you're not a doctor or something like that, they're kind of like, oh, well, this is another targeted individual with another theory, even if you're right on. So we've got to get concrete data. We got to force the information. Even if you know it, we got to force it out. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. Hesh 74 says they are definitely offices. That's what I think. I think that there's contractors. They have certain places where they have the integrated platforms. Now, Brian, too, says that it would all be done with virtual interfaces. Now, I do believe that exists. I believe it exists, but I want to tell you all an example. Like, I have my tablet going, right? So I have my tablet on, and I'm watching YouTube. I've turned the volume off, and I have Dave Case's CD plugged into my computer, right? Got Dave Case's CD plugged into the computer. I'm watching my tablet. Can't hear the volume from the tablet, but then through my V2K, I can hear what's going on my tablet. Like, I can hear what's actually going on my tablet through the V2K. And so this kind of tells me that they've got an integrated weapons platform. They've got monitors, and it's piping in volume from what they're watching from me. So I've had experiences like that. Not the only one, but that is one of the experiences that I've had that kind of tell me they are at an actual workstation. But Brian thinks that it's all virtual, virtual platforms. Yeah, Robert Stanton, that's right. Robert Stanton says, voice of God, remember, they run frequency V2K on everyone, silent. That imitates your voice and thought tones by mimicking to twist thought, then agree you to do, especially thinking. I think you're going to say the program is really wicked or really bad. Yeah, I agree. APV, you say you're buffering bad for no reason. That may be on your side. That may be on your computer. Seems like my attackers aren't freezing everything up. I ran a virus program, and I turned everything back off and back on. It seems like they're not messing with it right now. Probably because I said that they will. Yeah, Jared Ritter says it's an AI weapons system that uses the cell towers and electromagnetic things around you to hit you, even your light. Yeah, because your DNA produces light. and that would be like 7G technology that actually it's like photonic energy that interacts with your DNA, like because your DNA actually produces light frequencies. And so they're like our attackers were using 5G long before they put out the first public 5G tower. They're using 6G and 7G, which will eventually come out to the public, right? They'll put up public 6G towers and a 6G infrastructure, but for the weapons grid, they have 5G, 6G, 7G, maybe 8G, you know. Yeah, let's play the rest of this. This was so good. Like I'm so happy, and thank you, High Impact Vlogs. Probably doesn't watch my channel, but thank you for talking about.
A lot of people don't know this.
You know, certain layers of this.
Are already used for security.
Just a lot of layers, guys, and we got to talk about them all. But we got some. You know, there's the priority, bottom line things, right? That the brain can be read and written to. You know, voice to skull. Is done by a couple of different ways, but it exists, and you can hear like voices shot to your head. External microwave hits really hurt. It's being done by contractors, DHS. There's some bottom line things, but then we've got to get more information. Israel assassinated. Can I say that? Is my YouTube channel going to get taken down? I get hit by something. It's probably true. I get hit by something, it causes my legs to vibrate, like electricity runs and activates all muscle cells. Is it possible to determine the direction? All information is welcome. Yeah, guys, I don't know. Tell IAJFK what you think. The only way that I can tell direction sometimes is by feeling heat, like a stream of energy. I can feel the heat from it. But the problem is, I think there's some things that they're doing that are electromagnetic fields. Like, so what you can do is you can look up the cell towers in your area. Like I've got a cell tower that way, a cell tower this way, and a cell tower that way. So, you know, one or two of them or all three of them are being used in my targeting. You know, actually, and there are some, there's some trimeters that you can tell direction on. Instead of just feeling heat. I just don't have enough money to get a good one. You were a lion in the lamb? Well, can you like email me and tell me, is it good? Did you get away from it? If you got away from it, lion in the lamb, can you like just email me at Vulcan Wolverine and just tell me where you went so I can go? It'd be really good. I'm gonna try Ecuador, like if the UN thing doesn't work out. Yeah, Robert says private security. Yeah, right. Private security in Afghanistan on the US government hired private companies in order to not be responsible for their actions. That's right. Exactly right. Like when I say contractors, that's what I mean. Like private security industry, the third-party contractors. It's all like that. It's all like that. It's called Black Forest. There was one that was in the A-Team movie, and it was fake. It was called like Black Forest, Blackwater, right? Blackwater, like Blackwater, but since Blackwater, there's so many of them, like all over the United States and other countries. This industry has popped up, private security industries, third-party contractors, private standing armies in certain situations, right? And it is that Robert's exactly right. They use these third-party contractors and private security industries, so it separates them from the government. It separates them from the government, but it also separates it straight from the NSA, right? So if like they don't want these intelligence agencies to do it directly, to directly kill their own citizens, so they separated third-party contractors to do the dirty business. Now they're really connected to them, but it kind of gives them that extra level of separation. Just like in MK Ultra, they got third-party contractors to do a lot of the research and torture to people. So it kind of separates them a little bit, gives them a little bit of plausible deniability. It was a little better, Lion and Lamb. I think it'd be better for me. I probably, if I went to Russia, it would be better for like a couple months. And I bet you my attackers would have to jump through hoops to get connections and check and stuff like that. Because I'm sure they have to check and see if they can shoot that crap into Russia. Like they have to like get things cleared, right? So I think it would give me some time, but I don't think it would end it
It's an
forever.
alternative to fingerprint
A couple of months would
identification.
be nice,
The
though.
technology is
Kind
being
of get my
trailed by the
brain back on
Halifax
track.
Building Society in the UK. Jetson extends this approach by
brain
adopting
working,
an
man.
off-the-shelf device that is usually used to check vibration from a distance in structures like wind turbines. For Jetson, a special gimbal was added so that an invisible quarter-sized laser spot could be kept on target. According to them, it takes about 30 seconds to get a good return. So at present, the device is only effective with ages really quickly. Romali's team then developed algorithms capable of extracting a cardiac signature from the laser signals. He claims that Jetson can achieve over 95% accuracy under good conditions, and they expect this to be improved. In practice,
I don't think that's how they're doing. I mean, I think that's a good idea. I mean, I think he's on to something, but I really think that it's biometric readings. It's like remote electromagnetic frequency energy that either is either, you know, reading somebody's DNA or their brain. I don't think they're really doing heart signals. Maybe to some people they are, but I think in general, when they're getting hooked into a person, they're getting hooked into their brain. Because from their brain, you can do everything. You can get readings from the heart. You can get readings of temperature. You can get readings of what they're seeing. You can get, so the brain is like this holy grail of surveillance, right? You can get everything the person's thinking, visualizing, seeing, what their body is doing, control of their body. So I actually think that the brain is the number one targeting thing. And the scary thing that probably anybody who's not a target individual doesn't know about this stuff, like doesn't know about the targeting, would be like, targeting the brain, that would probably be really, really hard. But it's not. They've been doing it so long that it's like sending a stupid cell phone signal. Tapping into somebody's brain, they've got the infrastructure already, and it's not as widespread as tapping into a cell phone signal, but it's not a you know, it's a complicated process, but they have the manufacturing advanced weapons to do it pretty in a short amount of time. In a short amount of time.
Or other identification.
It's a scary thought.
The State University of New York
but I live with it.
also developed
like
a remote
day-to-day.
cardiac sensor. Although
yeah, Jared, yeah, that's right. Jared says they are using the whole spectrums of the electromagnetic spectrum, and I think they're actually even using like scalar frequencies. They're using things that are kind of more advanced too. Nighting it. So Robert Stanton says, "Hey, strong-minded, what's up, man?" Robert Stanton says, "Private contractors, Nightingale Security wants to be gods and start a new world. They convince United Nations to depopulate. A trick. Frequency overload over the spectrum slows the internet. Trick." Yeah. So many contractors involved in this. Yeah, Lion and Lamb. Lion and Lamb says, "I think the Russian stinging of my head over and over was them checking who I am. I EMP'd my head before I left. They have the same tech as the U.S. Yeah. China, Russia, and the U.S. have it. And then whoever's allies with the country, they do they'll give them weapons. They'll let them have weapons if they can collect certain data from their research on their citizens. It's like a weapon sharing thing. Like, I really think, and I don't know, like I've talked about this before, but I think the Cuban embassy attack was Cuban intelligence to actual like Cuban embassy workers that were really CIA. They were really CIA doing something there in the country. The Cuban intelligence was checking that because they wanted to see who was CIA. So that's why they were But I don't think Cuban intelligence developed and manufactured it independently. I think Cuban intelligence is given weaponry from Russia. I think Russia has some kind of, it's sharing. They give them the weapons, and then they do something for Russia. They get data back, or they maybe do certain surveillance to Florida or something like that. It covers the world. Like every country is involved in this spy game, this surveillance game. Anne says, "Oh my God, I just got in a huge fight, sheeple fight with my daughter. Came to calm the F down. Kyle, they have read my labs and sent them to NIH, a million universities, CDC, cancer.org, my labs." Did you check your ASN number, Ann? Yeah. I think a lot of companies and contractors, labs, tech companies, will tap into our network and get information and data. Yeah. That's right. Jennifer says they can remotely scan our brains and our body. And I think it's not a simple thing. Like, I don't mean that, but with the manufacturing and the advancement of the weapons, it's simple. It's not hard for them to do. People need to know. People need to know, because I think whole populations, whole cities are being affected by it. And then you got the direct torture and targeting. And what Robert Duncan says, I agree with. They're scaling up the technology so that they can just do it to everybody. I'm just seeing so many more and more target individuals. I go to YouTube channels that don't talk about targeted individuals at all. They maybe talk about some truth or stuff, and everybody in the chat is like, yeah, my daughter's being targeted, or yeah, I'm getting a ringing in my ears all the time, and it stops at this. And some people are like, I'm getting demonic attacks. Like, they're just doing it to like everybody. They're just trying to rope everybody into the program. It's just becoming so widespread. And then with social distancing, like he's saying, they're going to hook more people up to it. And that's not the only reason they're social distancing, but it's an angle to it.
Way and uses radar.
So it's
a lot of people believe that the cardiac approach is far more robust than facial recognition. Wenyo Su of the State University of New York at Buffalo says, compared with face, cardiac biometrics are more stable and can reach more than 98% accuracy. One glaring limitation is the need for a database of cardiac signatures. But even without this system, it has its uses. What they claim is that an insurgent seen in a group planting an IED could later be positively identified from a cardiac signature, even if the person's name and face are unknown. Biometric
right. They got facial recognition. They got biometric tracking that's just like basically your body frequency, the field around your body. They got layers, regular surveillance, facial recognition, layers and layers of surveillance. And so if one messes up, they've got the other one. Or if they need more details, they've got the other one, right? So these redundant systems, please remember that word. The military-industrial complex and all this crap is all about redundant systems. It's about layers, having layers of crap done to us, having layers of surveillance. And so it's hard to just go, oh, well, it's just one thing, because no, it's like a lot of different things that they're trying to track, and they can do the tracking.
Cardiac data could be added to that library. According to developers, in the long run, this technology could find many in patients without having to wire them up to machines.
That's what they do. Functional MRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging. They can do it to where you can be in a different part of the building, but to us, it's like more complicated in functional magnetic resonance imaging. Doctors one day will be able to do brain scan. Well, they can now, but they're going to come out with some things like, oh, well, your doctor can just do an MRI in your home, because we have that remote technology, right? So that's why I'm saying there is a lot of hope in the UN thing. There is a lot of hope coming up because they're going to want to do all these things where they because they're going to want to make more money off of the public and get more of the public hooked in. And it's not going to be able to be as top secret and as intense and not what's the word when something is non-transparent. So some things are going to be changing, and like, you know, who knows, right? Things are so complicated, the way things are so complicated, but I see a lot of hope in those changes. And even some of the bad changes, I look at us and I'm like, well, things are definitely going to change for us, even though there's so many horrific things going on in the world.
Technology being turned on the population and used to track
the
exact location.
And so, fMRI, functional magnetic resonance.
Child on Earth.
And I just want to mention this right now, just to you guys. I don't know how many people will stay for a long live stream, you know, just watching this afterwards. But the DTI MRIs, I'm about to go get another one. I had one in 2018. We got to be doing that and compiling that evidence. It's going to show changes to the brain. Now, getting a neurologist that can read that, right? That's the difficult part. But you get 2 DTIs. If you're targeted really bad, you're remote neural manipulated really bad, you get a DTI now. You get a, hopefully this won't be going on in 2 years. Who knows what's going to happen in the world, but you get one now, you get one in a year or a couple of months or something like that. It's going to show changes to the brain. It's going to show changes to the white matter tracks. Definite. If you're a really hard target, you feel like your brain's getting raped, you feel like your nervous system is getting you know, pain signals sent to it, it will definitely show changes. And I think we've got it, but you can't just get one DTI. You get one DTI, and a neurologist, even if they know what to look for, they'll be like, oh, well, that's just how it looks, right? You've got to show that change over time. So I'm going to be working on that. I'm going to be working on a lot of things up until the UN.
That for their own gain. For example, combined with Gil Bates' patented cryptocurrency generating idea using body activity data, the elites could use your heart rate to turn your daily activities into even more wealth on the open market. And you know what they tend to do with that wealth? They use it against us for our own demise. So while we're all fighting amongst ourselves in our current mainstream media promoted, racially fomented new world, keep in mind there's a purpose for every mandate they're putting out there.
Yeah, I agree with them. But the thing is, guy, and this is what I try to impress upon y'all, is that one thing, like the mass, they're not just doing it for one agenda. It's like many different angles. They've got algorithms, think tanks, like organizations that say, well, the mass are going to do this. So one could be to make people sicker, suffocate them. One is kind of an initiation, right? They're putting mass on us for this certain kind of initiation, blah, blah. One's to make people more anonymous, so the people who are going out and doing riots and protests will feel more anonymous and want to go do those things more. You see what I'm saying? So we're dealing with a very nefarious, many different angle agenda on a lot of the things they're doing, like social distancing, keeping us away. When you're close to a human being, you feel their biofield. We all have an electromagnetic field around us that we're creating with our brain and our body. When you're close to somebody, in touch too, but okay, before touch, you got your electromagnetic field that interacts with another person's, and you can feel their emotions and stuff like that. They want that gone. They want people more isolated and cut off biologically from each other. Then you got, maybe they want to be able to surveil people more. They want to be able to, the facial recognition may work way better with people further away from them. So many different angles for all these things.
Mask and
historically, gotta stop it somehow.
It doesn't turn out for our good.
I don't know, saying that sounds kind of like airy-fairy. We got to find out a way. We've got to have all the information at our disposal, be as smart and as informed as we can be ready for any of the bad changes, and then try and change what we can. And then, you know, trust God for the rest. It's so big. It's such a global thing, you know. APV says, I've gotten to the point I can sense them driving in opposite direction in stores. Gotten pretty good. Yeah, John Stevenson says, squeeze your chest in your windpipe. Yeah. My attackers will like hurt my throat by shooting right into my throat. And then sometimes they'll make my breathing more shallow through remote neural manipulation. Jared says, you won't be able to go to the doctor if you don't get the vax. It's coming. Will you get it, Kyle? I want to say no, because I think it's going to be severely dangerous. I think it's actually going to make changes to our DNA, like at a genetic level. It's going to make certain changes. And I think it's going to add another layer, like nanotechnology implants add a layer. It's going to add another layer of biometric tracking, like light up our bodies for certain frequencies. So I want to say no, but then it's like if I can't hang out around my grandmother or my parents if I don't get the vaccine, then that's going to be another spot where I'm going to have to make a decision, right? Because from that video I put out, Computing Forever, guys, please go watch Computing Forever. It's a pretty sure thing that it's going to be mandatory, like the mask. Like you're not going to be able to do certain things. So you guys are pretty sure. Ann says, I think it's going to be the mark. Lion Lamb says the mark of the beast. But it's not on the forehead or the hand. It's you know, I think it's going to be, it's not going to be an injection. I think they're going to do it in a drink where you drink it. That's kind of what I've been hearing from people and I've researched. It's going to be in a little drink that you drink. I don't know if I can't see my parents ever again, because I don't really think it's the mark. I mean, I think it's bad. I think it's bad for us, but like I already have nanotechnology, you know, nanoparticulates, like Morgellons type stuff, implants in me. So I think for me taking the vaccine, like it may make changes, but I think I already have those changes. I think I already have a lot of them. I don't know. I want to say no, you know. APB said, be careful, Kyle. Remember what happened to Horton when she tried to get films she paid for. I've had a DTI, APB. I have an MRI from 2013. I have a DTI from 2018. I think some doctors will just do the testing and we don't have to worry too much about it. But I think that when we get close to like it being proven by a doctor that knows about it, I think that's when our attackers will like interfere. I guess I won't take the vaccine. We're not going to be able to travel or anything if we don't get the vaccine. And I know that everybody's kind of like, oh, well, now's the time to fight, right? Now's the time, and I don't care if I die. But I've been fighting against death for so many years. This isn't the point where I'm like, well, we just got to resist everything. And if I kind of want to spend time with my family and stuff. I just want to be honest, like, because I don't think the vaccine is the mark of the beast. I mean, maybe y'all can show me more evidence, but I don't know. It's not the hand or the arm. I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it, but I'm not gonna get it. Maybe we could forge. Well, let's not talk about anything illegal, right? But maybe we could find a way that we look like we have it. Maybe we can just think outside the box on that one, right? Lion Lamb says, the gel sensor interweaves with DNA. Everyone rejected. Also, cancer virus with Celeste Solum interview. Okay, I got to check that out. I know it creates changes in the DNA. It creates a lot of really bad stuff. But, like, I mean, honestly, I think I'm already going to get cancer sometime in the future. I've been just bombarded by microwaves for decades. So, some hard choices. Some hard choices coming up where I'm probably going to die and be messed up anyway. And if it's like you can't see your parents until your death, if you don't get the vaccine or something like that, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Hey, Laura says, it is an injection for people in prison, glows under the skin. I will send pictures. Okay. I'm sure they're injecting, and they already have the vaccine. They've already given the vaccine to a lot of them. Yeah, I saw that thing on Luciferase. Saw that. And Carl says, this is a great chat, guys. Yeah, it's a lot of smart people. Like, I see so many, like, all the smart TIs, and I'm not saying anything about other people's live streams. Other people got great live streams, smart people, but I just noticed, like, I got really smart targeted individuals that really have good comments. And that's why it's like, I think my attackers want to cut that off, right? Because you got some non-TIs coming in here. They see all of you guys that are really smart. I'm trying, sometimes this stuff sounds so crazy, right? Some of the people that were giving advice out on YouTube, they're very intelligent. They know like way past what normal people know, and they're like, you try and explain anything that's going on in society, and you sound like you're going incredibly insane. And I agree. I agree with that, because all this stuff is so sci-fi. It's like accelerating rapidly, right? And it was going on before the pandemic. But I feel like God put me here. I feel like this is where I am. I was a precocious child. God kind of fed me with certain things during my childhood, and this is just where I'm at. And I just do what's right, and I just tell the truth. If I die or whatever, if I sound crazy to somebody, God gave us humor, right, for that too. So if you're precocious, you talk about this stuff, you sound crazy, make a joke about it, and that usually lightens people up, right? If you're saying something crazy, they can't take it, you make a joke, and then their mind gets a little bit confused, and they're not as scared, like non-targeted individuals. They won't be as scared. They can kind of accept, like, yes, this is happening in the world. Yes, we got to be good people and fight it no matter what, Yeah. And says we're all scientists now. LOL. Yeah, dude. What I wanted to do for my life was write fantasy books and be a director, like completely creative side. I mean, my family has a lot of people that are technical in it, but I never desired to be like a mathematician or scientist. It's weird how life throws you a curveball. You gotta do what you have to do. Yeah, I agree with that. Lion Lamb says also aborted baby cells in it. I think they put aborted fetal tissue in a lot of things. It's a sick, sick world. And it's really satanic. Like, it's really satanic coming from the top of the pyramid. And certain organizations will do it without really thinking it's satanic, but the top of the pyramid knows it's satanic coming down that way. Yeah, I agree. There's some, but it's more complicated. So APB says, and yes, doctors are complicit. Look at what is at the heart of this. No doc is going to go with this unless he's in on it. But it's just like everything else, APB. The system's complicated, and they can't get everybody to be complicit in some kind of things. So there's going to be, like you saw that doctor who came out and said, look, we were counting people who didn't have the CV virus. Doctors and hospitals are getting paid to do that, right? There are people in there that aren't necessarily on the take. Now, what the top of the pyramid counts on is that those people will be controlled by peer pressure and these levers of the system, right? But some actually do speak out. They're not on the take, right? So there's a lot of people like that. Most of them are taken care of by peer pressure. You need, just do your job and don't ask questions and stuff like that. They're not necessarily like, hey, we're doing evil stuff. They're just taken care of by peer pressure, and this is what everybody else is doing. But then you got some that will. I do too, APB. I do too. I've been putting off my ear, eye, nose, and throat doctor appointment because of that. Yeah, APB says, Kyle, I just worry they will airbrush out the implants. Yeah. I kind of get worried about that too. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, APB says Robert is a smart cookie, guys. I would sub to his channel. I did. Yeah, Robert Stanson, guys. He has tons of great ideas. His defensive ideas are top notch. I can't afford him right now. Some of the stuff he does, I can afford. He's really smart. He says he's free. Honestly, I know maybe Robert's still watching. Like, I think that you defended a lot of it probably, but our attackers are really hard to get off of us. Like even with the best, most ingenuitive defenses, I don't know them, man. I want, that's good. That's good if you are. I'm not saying I don't want that. I'm just, because I've used a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh, okay, I've got it completely cut off, but they were doing some kind of weird thing, you know. I kind of want to listen to this Liliana DeLuca thing where she talks about DHS, because I talked about this earlier. It's like 12. Let's play this and I'll like read maybe one or two articles. Okay, no, this is the wrong one. Let's listen to this part where she talks about DHS, because I felt interested in that. Because I think that they track and trace us, like DHS tracks and traces us, but I just didn't think that, DHS used the weapons on us. So let's listen to this. Y'all say the volume's good. It sounds too low to me.
Police to use on you. They also subcontract as.
So wait, let me go back a little bit. Let me go to one.
And I meant.
Okay, let's go here.
Thank you so much, because although it's hard, like the lady, I guess I signed on when the lady was asking about proof, but when you do your research, I can determine that what you're saying is what I have been studying and surmising in my own research. And the Fusion Center is something that I have come to as well in understanding
okay, this is
what you're telling us that it comes from. In fact, to state this further, I had looked into private investigation.
Us, so that you can show copies to the authorities in your state and say, we want this. We want our state to give us these rights as well.
Well, that's great news. I promised you I'd keep it short, but if you want to stay on, we can take some questions and get some comments if you like.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, so and she'll talk about it with this first lady that asked the question. She talked about it in her interview, where she said, and they can tell that DHS is doing some of this, and she clarifies it later. She says, like contractors, the CIA, DIA, things like that, they're working through DHS Fusion Centers. So how I see it is they're getting cooperation from DHS Fusion Centers. DHS Fusion Centers does some of the surveillance and stuff. They share information, but I think the contractors are doing the weapons torture in most cases. But then you got, in certain situations, like you're going to have ground weapons, DHS Fusion Centers may hit with ground weapons. She kind of clarifies it when this lady asks the question.
If you have a question,
but she talked about it before.
We'll be able to get to everybody, but we'll try our best. Just star 6, and I'm going to lay down some guidelines. I want to stay on the topic at hand, and I always say, I will not allow people to attack people, and I don't accept hate of any kind. But you guys all know that. And since it's a Q&A mode, I usually ask people to be polite, and even though we understand you're under great duress, but just to remember to keep your humanity. Don't lose that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the first person here that I see. Her name is Hope. I'm going to go ahead and unmute her. Hi, Hope.
Hi. I want to thank Liliana for very interesting information that I'll be able to pursue when I'm not so tired. But I did have a question about the fusion centers. You said that they were raping people. Do you know that to be true? Is there a way to show that?
They were what?
You said that the fusion centers were raping people.
Well, I call it that way. A number of victims have also called it that way in writing, in online and posts and in documents, because they penetrate our bodies without permission with microwave pulses, radio frequency signals, and entering a body without consent is a form of rape, but especially when they reach your private parts, that's an actual form of rape.
I say this, like I get the rape of my genitals, like they will shoot streams of energy to my genitals. They will, even through remote neural manipulation, mess with my private area. But like I say that the remote neural manipulation is like brain rape. And I would rather get regular rape than have brain rape, you know. But I use that word a lot because it's so severe. And I think some target individuals that maybe get B2K, but it's not such severe murder. They're like Drunken Ninja one time was like, rape, really? I mean, isn't that going a little bit too far? But like as intense it is for mine and some other target individuals, it's like worse than, it's like rape, murder, torture. You know,
about the origin of the attack. Like, is there a way that you can show that it's from the fusion centers?
Well, yeah, because what happens is that, for instance, the New York Police Department is the first fusion center of the country. So it's a police department, but it's also a huge fusion center. But in most cases, the police departments are small. They don't have that access to technology, and only the official fusion centers listed as such by the Department of Homeland Security are the ones who have access to these technologies. For instance, I have, as I mentioned, I live in a county that has a fusion center, and rather than they using these technologies for what they had been given to them, that is to use against known acts of terrorism and terrorists, they are fraudulently using them to do weapons testing and harassment and torture of innocent civilians.
See, I still, like she's saying this, she does say intelligence agencies through DHS fusion centers, but I still think DHS fusion centers carry out a lot of the surveillance, pinpointing, gang stalking stuff, but the contractors are doing the experimentation, even external hits and stuff like that. Maybe the DHS fusion centers, maybe they do some of it though. Like, I mean, she seems to know a lot. I still don't think DHS fusion centers like do the remote neural manipulation and stuff like that. But you know, I kind of just wanted to hear her out on it.
Weapons and learn from them by using us as guinea pigs.
Hey, Drunken Ninja.
Or sometimes because
how you doing, brother?
You are a hit that they've been requested by somebody in power somewhere in the county who wants you assaulted and roughed up, harassed.
Yeah, yeah, okay, that's a good way to say it. Yeah, Ann says fusion centers, I think they coordinate it and oversee it. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way to look at it. I just don't think they're like carrying out the remote neural manipulation. I think that's like third-party contracts for private security industries, like Robert said, under like NSA, CIA, DIA, and then DOD research laboratories, stuff like that.
Or it could be that they're using you, trashing your body to use you as guinea pigs for weapons testing and learning how to use these technologies combined with the computer, seeing how you react, how they hurt you. Do they burn you?
I understand what you're saying there about the attack. My problem is, how do you know that they're coming from these fusion centers?
Because, as I try to explain, the police department, other other than the New York Police Department, because it's a fusion center, it has these technologies.
Okay, so
all the other police departments do not have access to these technologies. Only the regional fusion centers have access, and I'll give you an example. In the county where I live, there is a fusion center, and I have, of course, my local police department. I told my local police department that my computer was being entered, my phone was being hacked. And
I think a lot of that activity, like tonight, like I used to think it was like my attackers that are microwaving me, but I think there's some coordination, and I think there would be like cyberplace agents working for a DHS Fusion Center InfraGard who are hacking into my computer and doing certain things, and then my microwave attackers are doing certain things with remote neural manipulation. So it's like a lot. There's different people like carrying out certain levers of all this stuff. But she's like, well, police departments don't have this technology, so that kind of proves that DHS Fusion Centers do it. But I don't think that's enough to say DHS Fusion Centers carry out the weapons attacks, But I mean, that's just why there has to be a more significant investigation done. We know we're going in the right direction. Who does what? Who does what exactly, right? We don't need to know that exactly. We need to get it out into the light, get it out into the public. The public needs to look into this because it's being done. And certain organizations do certain things.
The internet service provider and phone service provider that is Verizon and has high-level technology, they could not deal with the high technology attacks that I'm getting, and they could not prevent it, and they could not correct what they were doing to me because it's coming from higher levels of technology. And my local police told me then, we don't have access to that technology, we cannot do that. These things are coming from your fusion center.
So they said that you were talking about the race, and you're saying that your police department told you that those attacks were coming from a fusion center?
Yes. Because they don't have access to these technologies.
See, I don't know if that's enough to say like, oh, police don't have this technology, and then so that's why it's DHS Fusion Center.
No other police department.
She might be speaking about the surveillance technologies, though.
Do you have that documented somewhere? Because that could be extremely helpful for everyone.
There's so many, or like, okay, Tanya said, I believe they are giving to police and contractors and Air Force Base neighbors are doing it all. I think it's a lot of organizations. I do think that they can hit you from this stuff from very, very far away. So I think there are specific buildings that contractors would use, or kind of like not necessarily military bases, but places that are cordoned off, like office buildings that the general public can't go into. Right, and they would just be kind of in areas in your city or in your state. And I think that like how how SHP and my friend in Canada, Mischievous M, are looking into people hacked into your networks. I do think they get, like my neighbor does noise campaigns. He times them perfectly. I think they do get some of these people to like maybe hack into some of your neighbors to hack into your network and stuff like that. Now, what all they do, I don't know, but there's so many layers of it, and there is definite participation by some of your neighbors, even to a point of ground weapons, But we just got to prove all that. It's coming from so many angles, so many people are participating.
They didn't say it in writing, they said it verbally to me. What happens with the police departments is that the fusion centers enter into a memorandum of understanding with local county authorities, the sheriff's office, and the police, Chiefs of Police Association, as well as the district attorney, to decide on the operations, including secret operations and covert operations that they carry. And they have in the memorandum of understanding clauses that say that the police departments have to be
and then later on she says, and then intelligence agencies
with their secret and covert operations, and they have to keep confidentiality of what they're doing in these operations. So,
okay, so you don't really have any proof that these are coming from the fusion centers.
Just verbal.
The proof is the different level of access of equipment and technologies that there is between a simple police department and a Homeland Security fusion center that receives weapons from, for instance, the non-lethal weapons directorate and the military. They also have an arrangement with the New York, for instance, Air National Guard, the Air Force, to use these signals and microwave weapons over the population as directed by the fusion centers. The police doesn't have that kind of authority.
Liliana, how do you know that it's not criminal organizations doing this? You have, because you don't have proof.
Well, there are criminal organizations.
I think the very exotic stuff in the external attacks are contractors, and then DHS fusion centers directs gang stalking and stuff like that. Maybe in certain circumstances, maybe involves like ground weapons, but definitely involves like surveillance, gang stalking, changing lights, one light cars, things like that, street theater and stuff like that. But I think that a lot of people that work for DHS fusion centers, like at the top, they probably know that there's microwave torture. But I think that a lot of people who work for DHS fusion centers don't understand that there's experimentation. They think that they're just surveilling people of interest. I think people are kept at a certain level of knowledge. But I mean, that's why we've got to figure out more about this, because it's a complicated network. Like it's dead. That's for sure. That's like a bottom line, is it's a complicated network of people working with compartmentalized information. You know,
they don't have the power and military access that the fusion centers have. But what happens is that the fusion centers are subcontracting criminals to conduct these operations from the fusion centers and sheriff's office or undisclosed locations, where the fusion center secretly carries these covert paramilitary operations. So they hire
so
people
this is,
who are
but we don't actually have any proof of this. This is what we think could be going on, but there's.
I have evidence that in my case that's the case. I carry Milton, and then we together research documents of information on fusion centers that were written by the authors that were hired by the General Accounting Office that was doing a report on fusion centers. We also have reports on the fusion centers written by someone who's now one of the top people at the Brennan Center for Justice in New York. He was a special agent of the FBI, and he worked for the American Civil Liberties Union to investigate and research the fusion centers for a number of years when he was working for the ACLU. And he produced documents entitled What's Wrong with the Fusion Centers and Fusion Centers Up update, those two documents by Mike German, former special agent of the FBI.
I need to look into Mike
Mike
German.
Research for the ACLU.
Mark German
and he's now
or Mike German?
Work on the Brennan Center for Justice. And the last thing that I'm going to say about Mike German is Amy Goodman from Democracy Now!
So I need to look into Mike
online.
German.
She did a radio and video program that is online with a targeted individual. And Mike German, after he finished his investigation of fusion centers, and the targeted individual tells Mike German in public what is happening to him that is similar to what is happening to us. And Mike German confirms that the fusion centers are conducting these operations in this.
Okay, so if you have that information, could you please share it with the entire community? Get it to Ella so it can be posted, because if that fact is documented, everybody needs to have access to that. Can you please get that to Ella, or someone who can publish that? What specifically what you're saying that Mike German said?
Yes, taped and audio taped in this program of Democracy Now!
Yeah, I think I've actually seen those videos, but that doesn't say anything about electromagnetic assault or.
I just want to yes, it does, because the targeted individual who was the other party to the program, talking together with Mike German to Amy Goodman, reported on what was happening to him, and Mike German confirmed that the fusion centers were involved with this.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next question. Her name is Sandra. Let me go ahead and unmute her. Hello, Sandra.
Good evening. I'm enjoying this.
Okay, I just wanted to show you all that, because she was talking about DHS fusion centers, like using the technology. I think they use surveillance technology. I think the weapons, torture, and experimentation is carried out by contractors. But y'all go watch the entire interview there. Hey, love you too, Ann. Ann says, battery, got a charge for real. I love all you guys so much. Thank you, Kyle and all. Thank you for coming. Tanya says, I can't believe how big this program is, bigger than the whole world. It's done to so many people, and they're just scaling it up. And people like just think this is just complete insanity, like complete mental illness. And they're just moving forward with bringing a lot of it up on the surface to the public and then doing the top secret stuff under the surface. And it's really bad. Like, it's really, really bad. Torture where your body cannot take it for years and years and years, and it never stops. So let's go over one article. Let's go over this article. I don't know if I've gone through this before, but this has to do with the UN. I might have to go through some of the other articles on individual videos. Not sure how long we've been going tonight. UN warns of rise of cyber torture to bypass physical ban. But the deal is, like, with this torture that targeted individuals go through, it's severely physical, extreme heating of the body, injuring of the body, and then really hurting the head, the brain, the spine, the nervous system. So it's severely physical. So the Raptor would be Niels Melzer, warns against trivializing psychological torture as states exploit internet to target individuals. At least they're saying targeted individuals. Psychological torture is being exploited by states to circumvent the more widely understood ban on physically inflicting pain and may open the way to a future of cyber torture, the UN Torture Raptor has said. Niels Melzer, professor of international law at the University of Glasgow and the UN Special Rapporteur on torture and other cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment, is cautioning that the internet could be used systematically to target individuals remotely through intimidation, harassment, surveillance, public shaming, and defamation, but also severe injury and damage to the brain and things like that. That's what. So from this article and the things that I've heard, they're focusing a lot on like internet harassment and online harassment and computer hacking and things like that. And I'm just wondering how much time they're going to spend on remote neural manipulation, extreme external damage from microwaves and things like that. I'm trying not to be stressed out about it, but I'm a little bit stressed out that they're gonna talk about like, oh, computer hacking and online gang stalking and things like that, but then they're gonna stay away from the severe like brain experimentation, remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation, and then also the severe torture and rape by microwave weapons. But let's keep reading this, and I've showed, Niels Melzer knows about the severe torture with microwaves. He knows about V2K. He knows about remote neural manipulation. He knows about those things. And I'm sure that when he reads the report, it's going to have those things in them. So a trenchant critic of the UK government's failure to hold an inquiry into the rendition of jihadi suspects post 9/11, Melzer has also voiced concerns over Britain's treatment of the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange in Belmarsh prison. Later this month, the professor, who is Swiss, will present a report to the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. So later this month, the professor, so that already happened. When was that? This is in February 2020. February 2020. Okay. So that already happened. He already submitted that report. Later this month, the professor, who is Swiss, will present a report to the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, highlighting his concern over continuing development of psychological tortures and legal misconceptions about what conduct is prohibited by international treaty. His comments coincide with the UK release of a documentary, Imminent Monsters, a manual for modern torture, which investigates covert CIA fundings in the 1950s of techniques developed by Scottish-born psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron. He used microwave hearing, microwaves of the brain, V2K, psychic driving with V2K. The documentary, directed by BAFTA-winning filmmaker Stephen Bennett, shows how patients were subjected to sensory deprivation, forced comas, LSD injections, and extreme physical and mental torture at a Canadian research establishment run by Cameron. Those techniques, the documentary claims, were forerunners of methods used on the so-called hooded men, who were subjected to white noise, put in stress positions, threatened and deprived of sleep, food and water, and beaten after being arrested during intermittent internment in Northern Ireland in 1971. Similar techniques were later inflicted by U.S. forces on jihadi subjects detained in Guantanamo Bay. And there's this thing where they put people into a box and then they hit them with sonic frequencies from both sides. And I guarantee you at Guantanamo Bay, and the other one, I can't remember what it's called, but I guarantee you they use directed energy weapon torture. Guarantee you they use remote neural manipulation, directed energy weapon torture. And in a lot of prisons, I think they do. I think they experiment with sonic weapons and microwaves. In a 2018 judgment after the Hooded Men case was reopened, the European Court of Human Rights reaffirmed that abuse of the 14 men almost 50 years before amounted to inhumane and degrading treatment but did not constitute torture. That distinction, Melzer argues, is wrong. Judges think that physical torture is more serious than cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment, he told The Guardian. Torture is simply the deliberate instrumentation of pain and suffering. Consequently, psychological torture methods are often used to circumvent the ban on torture because they don't leave any visible marks, right? So it's like a lot of torture will leave marks on you and everything. Microwaves do. Some people that are hit externally by microwaves get burns. Like my skin got really red at the beginning. A lot of my pain now is like damage to the nervous system, damage to the brain that people can't just see immediately. And it really does constitute physical torture. It's not no-touch torture. If you shoot somebody with a bullet, can that be considered no-touch torture? No. That's like shooting somebody with a bullet. Same goes for these microwave weapons. They hurt the body, they hurt the brain, they hurt the nervous system, can burn the skin. No-touch torture is stupid because if you shoot somebody with a gun, it's not called no-touch. That's considered touching them. In his UN report, Melzer points out that many countries deny, neglect, misinterpret, or trivialize psychological torture as what could be euphemistically described as torture-like, whereas real torture is still predominantly understood to require the infliction of physical pain or suffering. I'm really really worried how they're going to spin it, like how the report is going to be read at the UN. I'm a little bit worried about that. It's so severe. This stuff is so severe. Some states have even adopted national definitions of torture, excluding mental pain or suffering, or interpretations requiring that in order to constitute torture, mental pain or suffering must be caused by the threat or infliction of physical pain or suffering, threats of imminent death, or profound mental disruption. Targeting does all of these things. Targeting does all of these things. In the most severe, like the most of the targeting, like for mine, it's severe infliction of physical pain and suffering, threats of imminent death. I felt like I'm going to die a lot of times. You guys have too. And profound mental disruption, brain injury, the most profound form of mental disruption, but twisting the brain, rewiring the brain, the visual cortex, the language center, and then other parts of the brain. Many countries have invested significant resources towards developing methods of torture which can achieve purposes of coercion, intimidation, punishment, humiliation, or discrimination without causing readily identifiable physical harm or traces, Melzer states. Some of these approaches have resurfaced most prominently in connection with interrogational torture in the context of counterterrorism, deterrence-based detention of irregular immigrants, alleged mass internment for purposes of political re-education, and the abuse of individual prisoners of conscience. An alarming development that Melzer contemplates is cyber torture. States, corporate actors, and organized criminals. States, corporate actors, and organized criminals, he says, not only have the capacity to conduct cyber operations, inflicting severe suffering on countless individuals, but may well decide to do so for any of the purposes of torture. They need to move more towards it's organized, like organized by military industrial complexes of countries, and it's done for experimentation to see what you can get the human to do, to actually, make somebody look guilty to gang stalkers or something like that for trauma-based mind control reasons. Like, that's the only way that I'm going to, if they say, like, this is trauma-based mind control, this is very organized, that's the only way that I'm going to be like, okay, well, they talked about it, right? If they just say it's organized crime, like mafias or something like that, that's not going to be good. Like, that's not going to be good. Maybe they'll say something like that, maybe lie about it and say, like, oh, it's organized crime and some private people doing it, and then it'll stop, and then I don't care. But they really need to talk about it. It's an organized thing. Cyber technology can also be used to inflict or contribute to severe mental suffering while avoiding the conduit of the physical body, most notably through intimidation, harassment, surveillance, public shaming, defamation, as well as appropriation, deletion, or manipulation of information. Already, harassment in comparatively limited environments can expose targeted individuals to extremely elevated and to prolonged levels of anxiety, stress, social isolation, and depression, and significantly increases the risk of suicide. Let me tell you this, like, when you target individuals in the chat, understand this. If there's differences from target individual to target individual, this is like ripped up my vagus nerve, my jaw, like giving me excruciating headaches. That's like just one angle of it. Like, it's very, very serious. Like, this is, you know, I know they're going to talk about like cyber stalking and stuff like that, but this is such serious damage to the body and the brain. Like, it's not a joke. Arguably, therefore, much more systematic government-sponsored threats and harassment delivered through cyber technologies not only entail a situation of effective powerlessness, but may well inflict levels of anxiety, stress, shame, and guilt amounting to severe mental suffering as required for a finding of torture. Severe physical. I'm going to read a better article on this, but I wanted to read this one. In his UN report, Melzer pays tribute to Imminent Monsters for showing the origins and devastating effects of contemporary psychological torture. Such experiments, he added, should be prevented in the future. It's going on worldwide to millions and millions of people, and it's being rolled out to the public every day of brutal, severe brain injury, brain rape, mind reading and mind writing, and then physical injury with external microwaves to the body too. Of the UK government's decision last year not to hold a judicial inquiry into post 9/11 rendition, Melzer told The Guardian, "I'm very worried. The Convention Against Torture requires it. That refusal sets an example that we don't really have to investigate and prosecute." That's a problem, right? Like, Melzer's told The Guardian, "I'm very worried. The Convention Against Torture requires it. Not to hold a judicial inquiry into post 9/11 rendition." So if our governments don't hold judicial inquiries into targeting, then their refusal, our government's refusal to look into, hold judicial inquiries into trauma-based mind control, remote neural manipulation, if they refuse, then the UN has to put its hands up, because that UN investigation is going to suck then. It says that refusal sets an example that we don't really have to investigate and prosecute. No, I guess it's just setting an example, but the UN doesn't need that. Okay, guys, I just wanted to read that. I'm gonna come at y'all with some more information. You know, be looking for my little entertainment project. Be reading some comic books and doing some. Hopefully, I'll make y'all laugh. It'll be kind of fun, because I'm pretty like stark. It's really dark. I want to have some fun. We need to have some joy in our life and stuff like that. We're looking at all this asymmetrical warfare. David Irwin says, "Seems the sheep would get tired of having their intelligence insulted and turn off their TV. It seems so obvious. It seems so obvious. It's not to a lot of people. It's scary how it's not." Hey, New Type says, "Shoot, I got here late." Yeah, you got to just rewatch it, man. I was just going through a little bit of information. I'll be making some more live streams. My body and brain just are really not doing well, guys. I get so shaky from the torture that I'm like, oh, I've got this information that I want to put out, and people are going to be chatting in the chat room, and we can get some good information across. Y'all can have good conversations, put in good information, you know. But I mean, that's why my attackers are just crushing me, crushing my head. And then they'll do the, I don't know how many of you guys have this, but the vagus nerve stimulation, the pain over here, it'll just be so bad sometimes that I'm like, oh, I've just gotta try and do something tomorrow, you know. Hey, Tamay says, "I walked out on my veranda to take a pic. They were about 5 meters away, if that's so close. I had to retreat inside. It was so invasive." Yeah, these gang stalkers, like, not to mention the people who microwave this, they just feel like we're what? Like, we're just meat. We're just meat that they can do anything they want to. It's creating this kind of thinking in our society that, like, oh, well, if the state, if the military industrial complex says somebody can be murdered and has no rights, we can just make up stuff about it. Even if we know it's not true, Big Brother told us we could just murder this person and lie about them. Like, don't care about our rights at all. Like, don't ever look into it more to see that we haven't done anything. And I do have a fear that more and more people, more and more neighbors are like, oh, the world's going crazy, so we need to join DHS fusion centers. We need to work with the sheriff's department. And they're just going to be told stuff by people. They're going to see that there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, and they'll just attribute it to those innocent, targeted individuals like us. The more afraid they can get people, right? That's what we're seeing, right, in the world. The more afraid and desperate that they can make people, the worse, more evil stuff they will do. Because even in the best of times, in the most peaceful of times, people do stupid S all the time. So you get people into a war zone, and people just lose their heads and do the worst stuff ever. And we've seen that ramp up. Thank you, Lion Lamb. I'm sorry for what you're going through. I'm sorry for what all of you guys are going through. I know that our targeting kind of varies, but we're all in pain. You know, we're all suffering. It just sucks. Like, sucks because it's like they really want to shut me up, and they go so far as to, you know, sending so much pain and really destroying that joint and muscles around my face and my mouth. It's like they go that far because they realize if they just try and stop me on the computer or do all this other crud and stuff like that, put me in immense pain, like I'll just kind of go through, I'll just talk about it. I'll just be like, oh, they're putting me in immense pain. Oh, they're screwing with my mind. So they go to the point of physically mutilating my face, like physically remotely mutilating my face through my brain and external hits. Like this is like the UN must talk about this stuff as intense as it is. It cannot stop with people getting bothered on the computer. Like if they stop there. Thank you, John. New Type says, I have to focus to relax my jaw muscles, then finally my ears can unplug. I got to do some of that, guys. Yeah, John says they hit the tender meat of my head in the temples. Yeah, they'll hit me like right here with an external shot, and then they're doing remote neural manipulation and just stimulating the vagus nerve. And I'm not sure about what's going on here. I want to go to an ear, eye, nose, and throat doctor. Lion and Lamb says, to me, before I was targeted, my sister told me she saw one outside her window, and I did not believe her. I believe her now. Oh, what were y'all talking about? I thought y'all were talking about gang stalkers. Yeah, David, that's true. David says, and that is not even inclusive of the chemical abuse the vermin do. I don't think I get a lot of that. I think I get the nano and certain toxins for the directed energy weapons to work good. But like I've talked to target individuals who get like chemicals like through their air conditioning vents and stuff like that. We need more targeted individuals talking about that. I don't go through a lot. I go through extensive remote neural manipulation and like external directed energy weapon attacks. I think I get poisoned sometimes. Yeah. It's really weird. The maintenance guy, like my air conditioner was leaking all over the floor, and the guy next to me called Karma's a bee, right? Like he's doing noise campaigns, and my air conditioner like leaked without my knowledge and messed up his carpet. The maintenance guy comes in and he like looks at it leaking, and then he points at the pipe. You can't see inside the pipe, and he goes, "Oh, it looks like your pipe's clogged up." And there was some kind of problem where there was like this insulation and it was being sucked into the microwave. So I was like, did somebody maybe do something in my place to intentionally crud up this pipe and make my air conditioner leak? Probably so. All right, guys. Hey, I'm gonna go. I think maybe Steven might be doing a live stream. I saw him on the last couple of nights, so you guys can go over there. I think, but I'll be back on. I'll be doing something. If not, I may have to do some short videos. I've been just really in a lot of pain and really tired, but I'll be doing something. I'm gonna make it to October. Just keep putting out good information. We're going to figure out some better things to do too. I may need to go to some conference calls and kind of keep up with some of what the bigger organizations are doing. All right, guys, I love y'all. And I'll see you on the next one. Probably won't be too long, sometime this weekend or something like that. All right, guys, y'all take care. Just keep pushing forward. In the name of Jesus Christ, Jesus, please help us. God, just please help us. Just give us strength. Just fix this in our lives. Give us miracles. Whatever happens, let's have joy. Let's do good. Let's be strong till the end of our days. Till the end of our days, till we go to the next place. Thank you, Tamay. Yeah, thanks for coming, New Type. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Jared, Lion and the Lamb, APV. I'll be putting out more information. I'll try. Hey, thank you for coming, Slack. I need to text you soon. We got to talk, man. All right. Good night, everybody. I love y'all. I'll see you on the next one, okay?